Well, there goes the Daverhood. Good morning. That is the most sustained noise I've been able to make out of my nose and throat and chest in almost a week. I can't believe I was able to. I'm now just going to roll over and die, but I was able to do that.
In honor of that,
It's time for some sloth throwing.
throw your 60% off sloths, which are extremely sticky.
Oh, that's why they were 60% off. Welcome to Dave's Gone By.
No, they have to be sticky probably to hit the wall.
All right, we're going to toss a sloth to the wall.
These are the 60% off ones.
All right, let's see if they're still good. From Toy Smith, made in China. So we know they're good. Here we go.
Whoa!
All right, it's stuck.
Look at him.
It's right behind me. They can't really see him, but here's another one. Here's another one. Go sloth. You want me to do it?
No, wait, I'll do it.
No, you do it. Ready? Go slothy. It's a birthday. Oh, I threw him again. Way too low, but he's stuck. He's stuck. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, what an opening to this 985th episode of the Dave's Gone By, Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the Stream. What are you looking for, babe?
The other sloths.
Oh, there's a brand new. Don't open the new ones. They're brand new.
That's the brand new ones.
You want them or not?
I opened the brand new ones.
No, there's another box of brand new ones. Here.
Oh, jeez, I'm blind. Okay, let's try that. You talk.
Open both of them on the same day?
Yes, it's a red letter day.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're rich.
It's a 4 sloth, 60%.
Oh, they were 60% off, so it's but getting one new one.
Yeah.
All right, but please, I'm trying to avoid the designs. Here we go.
Thank you, honey.
Well done. Do the other one, because
a little higher, so
yeah. So it really crawls down the whole time.
I gotta pull his balls off.
I break what? I don't know if you heard that. Oh yeah!
Are they seeable?
That's the thing. They're not behind my head.
Oh,
We can actually see them.
So people can see them because they're adorable.
Near the on-air sign. Oh, what an auspicious.
Yes, look at it's like a little V. I like a try. That's nice.
So.
Wow. Let me see how your sign looks. I gotta look on your phone.
Oh, the sign looks beautiful. You have my phone.
Hold on.
So.
Nothing from your guest yet, so no message. I think he was just practicing.
Well, what's wonderful is our guest has logged in early. We offer him the chance to come on early. I don't know if you've seen the message, but it's fine. It's fine. We have a lot to do even before we get to our special guest in the Daverhood today. We'll tell you all about him. His name is Bernie Furshpan.
You pineapple on pizza. I don't like that. I don't know why you put pineapple on pizza on your thing.
I did? Yeah. No, I didn't. I don't know why I wrote that. Okay, well, I didn't write that, or that just became an automatic thing on my Facebook feed. The AI is controlling everything. It's giving me friend requests from people who haven't posted on Facebook since 2019, and it's like,
so
gee.
I just did on air now. That's your new one, on air now, yeah.
Which we are. We're on air live Saturday, May 24th.
Oh,
Bob
David, that sign looks great. Look at it.
Doesn't it?
Look at the sign. Wow.
It's fantastic.
And the sloths, you got to tell people what they are because it's hard to make out.
Okay, these four things here
cute.
Are plastic sloths with sticky appendages, if you will, and you will.
Oh, people like your the story you did with this.
Well, you mentioned Holocaust.
It's pretty.
Every friend on my feed who I haven't thrown off Facebook because they're anti-Israel, everyone who's still with me is going to see the word Holocaust and go, yes, he's doing something about the Holocaust. We are.
Share it again, David, for you.
Oh, thank you, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
and gave it a heart. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are giving it. I can't read. Even Trevor just gave it a like.
Oh, thank you, Trev. Trevor back from WGBB on Long Island, where I got my start.
On the air now, yeah.
Anything else on the Facebook?
I'm not good with it, David. I don't know how to do it. I mean, I know how to do it, but
what?
Naomi, Trevor, Donald, Dan, Bernard, that's all I can see.
And that's just from the one I did this morning.
Yes.
Well, good to see you. Yeah.
So there's a lot of positive feedback.
So let me explain. The what I posted this morning is a reminder that
wait a second.
Yeah.
So you have, Naomi said, so have you traded potatoes for sloths?
No!
I'm going to say never. Never.
Naomi, if you're watching, and I see that you're watching, and why are you watching on Shabbos? Shouldn't you be at shul? Was certainly there. But I have not, nor will I ever trade my love of potatoes for an affection for the sloth creature. Will never happen. But I don't have any potatoes in here. That's unfortunate. But no, the sloth thing is just a cute item that we found at not even a thrift store. It's like a glorified thrift store that we go to, and you toss them, and they stick to the wall. Not only that, eventually they very slowly unstick, but they don't just fall to the floor when they're new anyway. They unstick. They flip.
Coming out, David. Look who's coming out now.
Oh, here we go.
He heard there's a problem.
Hello, Debbie. Yes, potato. Do you like sloths more than potatoes? As we were telling Naomi, a longtime friend and friend.
Naomi.
What?
Naomi, not Naomi. Naomi.
Oh, it's Naomi. Sorry, Naomi. As we were telling Naomi, as opposed to Christine Nomi and Klaus Nomi and all those.
Yes.
No, this is. I will never stop loving the potatoes that were with me. Honestly, before we started the show, this show didn't start until 2002. I was getting potatoes back in '98. So, yeah, no, sloths are just cute. They're fun, and you can watch them roll down the wall.
Moved. They're always
Yeah, they're brand new.
Yeah. Well, one did. Well, I can't remember what positions they were in.
Sounds like our honeymoon. But ladies and gentlemen, it is May 24th, 2025, Bob Dylan's birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday, Bob Dylan.
84.
Happy birthday, Bob Dylan.
Happy birthday, most iconic person in my entire creative, maybe. Up there with like Woody Allen and Oscar the Grouch, perhaps. But so probably do some Dylan talk later in the show if there's time. But I don't know if there will be time because we stacked this episode. We were supposed to be on last Saturday. We're supposed to have our guest Bernie Furshpan on last Saturday. We were all ready. We were here because the weekend before we couldn't do it. We were in New York. We were shopping around Queens, doing the usual nightmares that we're dealing with. But last week we were all set. And then Friday night, not yesterday, but Friday week.
Oh, wait, hold on.
What's coming? Is it Bernie?
Okay, yeah, I'm just saying. Oh, wait, I could do if you're okay with it. Yeah, that's from, okay, yeah, he thought it was 9 o'clock.
Oh.
Yeah, no worries.
Great, so tell him 9:15, and we'll do it. So last Friday, it was late afternoon. It was gorgeous weather here in Maryland. Just, beautiful. We'd gone shopping. We run around all day. And I noticed that the sky was starting to darken rather early for this time of year. So it started like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. What the hell? And then darker. I'm working. And then I start to see rain and the wind pick up I'm like, this isn't some ordinary storm. What?
What do you want in 5 minutes? 9:15.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yay!
A storm that
I just wrote pregnant instead of perfect. Perfect. Sorry, there we go.
Excellent. It wouldn't be excellent for us if you were. But yeah.
No. Okay. Drink your tea.
Yes. So.
Would you like to wait? You need this when you tell the story. Hold on. Where's the other one?
I have it. I have the trombone.
You need that.
I've got it.
When you tell the story, you need that, honey.
But I'm looking out the window. My wife is working in the other room, and I'm like, hun.
Have you seen the wind? The wind was sideways. It was like a wall of wind. Out of nowhere. 5 minutes before was was like, and we've been in Colorado where they had tornado and stuff like that, but and we're not in Tornado Alley. We're in the South, but it was like, normally the rain goes from it goes from the sky to the ground. this rain went from the left to the right. It was like moving
It was and blowing like crazy, and suddenly leaves were coming off trees.
Yeah,
I was
and
like, I've never.
Rabbits and birds were being tossed. Yeah.
One red bunny was just going, whoa! I think the wind was blowing his ass halfway down the thing.
He couldn't even cross the street. He was being blown. It was horrible.
And I went from being like on work to like, good God, look at this, to going back, trying to go back to work, and then BAP! Like, of course, all the power goes out. Mm-hmm. Power goes out in the house, down the block, and power, as usual, dealing with BGE, it doesn't go back on in an hour or two after the storm's over. It doesn't go on like that evening, but we lost power for a solid,
day.
Like 26 hours.
Correct.
Just long enough that you throw out all the fucking food in the fridge, because you can't.
Well, we'll get that.
Well, we can think about insurance, or we think about getting one of those battery generators.
Generator just for the fridge. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
You know, if we get one for the fridge, then we just save the fridge food. Like, that's all.
Yeah, which would be nice, but I don't know if I want to spend $1,000 to save $150 worth of groceries.
No, but it's 150 times
each
10.
time.
Then you could put in your computer. And for me, in the winter, you could put in the heat, or in the summer, if it's really hot, you can plug in a fan. That's the benefit.
That is good. That is good. Because we tend to lose power 2 or 3 times a year here.
Yeah, I mean, this is,
But I was, Saturday morning, nothing going on, and I was starting not to feel too well either. So I was just like, because we could have, at our university, where we've been teaching, it was in another part of town. It's a few miles away. And the lights were still on, and we actually went there and worked all day. It was great. But,
thank goodness
it wasn't until, were the lights on when we came home, or we came home to dark?
No, we came home. No, the lights were on. They said the one neighbor, and we got a thing saying it will be on 11 o'clock, and then our neighbor who is super helpful wrote and said, even though it said 11 o'clock, the lights are on now. So we went home and we had lights.
And of course, the irony, the brilliance of the people who run the utilities is, long after the lights came on, we went to the store, we refilled our fridge, went back to normal, which was great. And now I'm getting text messages from BGE saying, we realize the lights are still out.
Wow, really?
But we expect them to be on by Monday morning. I'm like, I didn't even bother to test. I was just like, okay, you're doing whatever you're doing.
They're living their best life.
Thank you for at least getting our lights and our
Maybe they
utilities
don't know where
back
we
on.
live, Buppy.
Yeah. But anyway, so that is why, and we apologized, or I apologized, of course, to our guest today in the Daverhood, Bernie Furshpan, who was supposed to be on the program.
People were looking so forward to him. You got a lot of positive feedback about his appearance.
Well, the good news is your anticipation is going to be rewarded, excuse me, momentarily.
Good.
Because Bernie is ready with us in the Daverhood this week, ready to talk with Rabbi Sol Solomon. Now, why is, oh my God, I've got like woogies coming out my nose. Oh dear. So, yes, and I've had a cold all week. So, Bernie has a lot of things to talk about. He's had quite a life, which is far, far, far from over, by the way. But one of the things that interests me and all the folks in the Daverhood is that he was owning and running the Metropolitan Room in New York, a cabaret spot, kind of like a little slightly higher level Don't Tell Mama, or little slightly lower level Cafe Carlisle, one of those really cool night spots for a decade, booking hundreds and hundreds of acts.
Stories like you would not believe.
I'm hoping so. Major cabaret figures, minor people getting their starts. So all these stories to talk about running cabaret, kind of like when we had Sidney Meyer on the show a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But more than that, Bernie is the son of a Holocaust survivor. His dad, we'll quantify Holocaust survivor because everybody thinks immediately camp. But I don't think his dad was in a camp. His dad.
You had many people on your show who had relatives who fled or went to like South Africa or Central America. So survivor just means that they escaped the Holocaust. It doesn't mean they were a concentration camp survivor.
Right. Yeah. But he didn't get into another. He was just hiding in the forest in Poland.
That. We like the forest.
Yeah, forests are nice. You can eat berries and stuff. But no, so Bernie's got a story to tell about his family and his dad. In fact, it's apparently such a good story that they've made a documentary called I Am Bernie Furshpan that is out, got great reviews. So we're going to talk to Bernie. I've already kept him waiting like a minute.
Okay, let's come in.
So he'll be talking to the one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Sol Solomon. Let me just play the rabbi's, of course, theme. Rabbi Sol is, as you know, the founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And here he is. Where's my lucky hedgehog? Shalom, my friends. Shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder, spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And what a thrill I have to be, wait, you have to unmute, sir. You got to unmute your little unmute button so you remute and talk yourself. We have in the Daverhood with us a man who has done cabaret. What's the problem here? What? Oh, I got spittle on my, of course, I have tons of spittle on my beard. I just unmuted him. He's fine. He's fine. Now I'm lost. Now I was talking about spittle. I love talking about spittle. Let me clean some more. Temple Sons of Bitches. That's me. But it's not him. This guy had his own kind of temple. It was a temple devoted to music and the Great American Songbook and talent. It was called the Metropolitan Room, and he ran it for over a decade. Plus, he has stories to tell all about his family and his dad. And let's talk Holocaust. You can't put two Jews in a room for more than 2 minutes and not mention the Holocaust. So let's mention the Holocaust. Ladies and gentlemen, mentioning the Holocaust here with me, Bernie Furshpan. Shalom, Bernard.
Shalom, manishma.
Oh, tov todah. Look at this. I've got my candle ready. Oh, yes. So this is also my suppository. It functions in two different ways. But you know, welcome. How are you? You look fantastic. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm calling you from Malta.
Malta? Wow,
Malta.
I like chocolate Maltas. But what are you doing in Malta?
Well, I was on my way to Israel, but my car broke down, so I ended up here in Malta.
Wait.
Actually, no. My wife is Maltese.
Oh, that's right. I married a Pekingese, so it's kind of
okay. I have a story about that. Okay, so I always told everybody I have a Maltese at home. So
so what does your car breaking down have to do? You don't drive to. Can you drive to Israel?
Actually, it was a plane. The plane broke down and it landed in Malta. So we ended up staying here for a while. But we're enjoying ourselves, and you got in touch with me, and I want to thank you for the honor to be on your show.
Please, it's nothing. Thank Hashem. Hashem first, then me.
It's a mitzvah to be here.
It is
It's a mitzvah for me to be on your show.
And we love you for being here. So I don't even know where to start with you, but I'll start. So here's the deal. How did you become the person that you are? Like, you didn't start out to be a cabaret mogul, and you didn't start out to, well, you did start out to be the son of a Holocaust survivor. So where did things all start for you?
Well, it's funny because I talk about it in the film, the documentary. I talk about the fact that I learned survival techniques from my dad. And changing careers and jumping from one thing to another is a survival technique because I learned it from my dad. Seriously. I mean, he wasn't happy here in the forest. He lived in the forest from age 10 to 13. He wasn't happy here. It was dangerous. He moved over there. And he learned me he taught me this skill that he was able to do just about anything he thought he could do without fear. So I learned this lesson from my dad, and I learned this skill from my dad, from jumping from one thing to the other. I did a lot of great things, and I did a lot of great careers. I had a lot of great careers. But it was all because
what was your first career?
Right,
the numbers are so exciting. They're jumping to another place. What was your first real career?
So my first professional career was a chiropractor. I was a chiropractor.
Wow. And usually, when you're a good chiropractor, there's no turning back.
Right. And that's the problem, because there's a lot of people who want to do other things. They have other dreams, but they're afraid to make the change. You see, that's the thing. There's people who hate their jobs today. At least 75% of the population hate their job, and they're afraid of making the change, and you only live once, and usually things turn out okay, quite honestly, but you're doing what you love.
But how long were you a chiropractor?
I was a chiropractor for 27 years, but I had multiple careers while I was a chiropractor.
Whoa. All right. Two quick questions. Did you give yourself a big nest egg so that when you chose no longer to be a chiropractor at all, either the other careers were set, or we can live for 2, 3, 4 years, no problem?
So I retired at age 50. I had one of the largest practices in New York State, but I also did marketing for chiropractors, and I sold 60,000 posters and all kinds of marketing material. But I also went around and gave keynote speeches at conventions, medical conventions as well, teaching doctors better customer service for their patients, because that was a real problem back in the 80s. Patients would wait 2 hours in a waiting room. It's just unheard of. It's so.
Yeah.
So I did all of that. And I built a holistic center, and I really got involved in real estate. So I packed it all in, and that's when I went into stand-up comedy when I turned 50.
Oh my God, Stan, what? Well, you were a New Yorker and Jewish, so we already know what possessed you, but what gave you the thing of I can do this?
It's just that I've always had the confidence, and I learned that skill from my dad. I always had the confidence that no matter what I wanted to do, I could do it. It's just a matter of, it's always the same person. I'm always the same person. It's just a different style of myself. I just have to learn the lingo. I got to learn the technology. But I'm a people person. So it doesn't matter what area I go into. So here I am. I'm a chiropractor, and I'm managing talent, and I have a marketing agency in New York City. I own a marketing agency in New York City. I work for NASCAR, and I did some work for American Airlines. And then that's while I was a chiropractor, believe it or not. But I had staff members, I had crews, in all of these different departments. And but I wasn't afraid to challenge myself and to just jump in head first and know that I'm going to be okay. And just know that I'm going to be okay. And I. So
what was your first? Was it an open mic? I mean, when and where can you place yourself back in that first moment you stepped on stage? I mean, you were used to giving speeches at conventions and
but it's different.
Seminars.
Stand-up comedy, stand-up comedy is very different.
True.
I mean, you're shitting in your pants, basically. You can give a lecture, and
I just did that now. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I wore a diaper. The thing is that I started at Caroline's. Linda was the instructor, and then I ended up in Gotham. And when I was in Gotham, I met Jessica Curson, who I ended up actually partially managing and doing I did a pilot, a TV pilot with her. It was a reality talk show in the middle of Central Park, and Zach Braff, who's her brother, he and I were the executive producers of this, and we were trying to, to shop this show. It didn't happen, but I learned a lot from it, and I was doing stand-up with Jessica. I opened up for her, and then before I knew it, I was all over the place. And then the owners of the Gotham Comedy Club, who owned the Metropolitan Room, that was the original Gotham Comedy Club, Chris Mazzilli says, Bernie, you're great at marketing. You should take over the Metropolitan Room because you're going to run with it. And we did. We more than doubled the revenue, more than doubled the business. And my wife and I, Joanne and I, we ran it. We had a blast. You probably remember the years that we ran it. We had
Marilyn May there one time. It was some other people too. Marilyn May. 97 and still performing, by the way. She was only 96 and a half when I saw her. But this is at, where was the Metropolitan Room? Remind everybody, where's the...
Sure. It was the original Gotham Comedy Club, which was on 22nd Street between 5th and 6th.
That's a pretty good location, not too far from the...
Great location. Yeah. Great location. Half a block from the, where was the Flatiron Building?
So... let me ask, I mean, you took it on, and at that point, did you know, I'm going to put my own stand-up dreams on hold, even though I guess you get to be MC a lot there, and really just because you've got this building now, you've got to showcase and keep it running and keep audiences coming in.
Right.
Was that okay? Were you okay realizing stand-up for me here, me as booker and agent, all these things here?
Right, yeah. I mean, owning and running a business in Manhattan was something I've never done before. And so, I never was afraid of any kind of challenge, just a matter of learning. And that's what we did. We learned very quickly. We, renovated the place and made it spectacular and gave it a great value for our customers. And we did 20 shows a week. That's 2 shows a night and 5 shows on Saturday, 5 shows on Sunday. We started, there was a phase where we were doing cabaret for kids in the morning and burlesque at night. So we had everything in between, from cabaret for kids to burlesque at night. It was
Don Wasabasco and his was it that guy?
And the monkey, yeah.
A monkey too. But here's the deal: you had to, because you had the building. I don't understand why they don't keep buildings going 24/7 if you can keep them clean. If you can bring audiences, you can do something at 3:00 in the morning, get them in there, whatever. Because you're a landlord as well as a creative producing kind of booker.
Yes.
So what were some of your favorite acts or moments when you were doing, running the Met Room?
Well, when I met some amazing people, we did between, the almost the decade that we ran it, we did 6,000 shows. And so from the 6,000, we had some really incredible talent come through. People that are not unknowns, that are significantly talented, and I wish that they get discovered. But we also had some of the old timers that came through, and we became very dear friends, like Peter Marshall, the host of Hollywood Squares, was a singer.
Yeah, he was on this program, not singing, but we had him on the show. Friend of the neighborhood, ding, ding, ding.
There you go. I love that. We met, everybody would come to this, people just came. We had Bon Jovi come, we had Jimmy, sorry, say it again? Fallon. Yeah, my wife is back there, she's coaching me. Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, wow, yeah. Shalom, Joanne, by the way. Yes, Jimmy Fallon, that's cool.
If Fallon would come, we would have a lot of celebrities, but you know what? They're regular people like you and I, and it was just great because everybody was the same at the club. Everybody was the same level. We all had something in common: the love of cabaret, the love of the arts, the love of live performances, and it was just a beautiful family experience for everybody.
So, what was the funniest, weirdest, worst thing or two that ever happened when you were running the club? Somebody collapsed on stage, something funny happened, somebody forgot to lift.
I'll tell you 2 things. I'll tell you 2 things that happened that was funny. Number one, one of the first acts that came in when I moved into the business, she came in from England. I can't remember her name. It doesn't matter. Oh yeah, Barb. That's her first name is Barb. And
Barb Yunker? Barb Yunker. Yeah, yes. She's been on the program too. Friend of the Daverhood. Hold on. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, yes.
So she came in and she says, Bernie, I don't know if I can perform tonight. My back is killing me. Light bulb goes off. I'm a chiropractor, Bob. Check it. There's an in-house chiropractor at the Metropolitan Room. I fix her back. She's on the stage jumping up and down. She says, Bernie, I don't feel any pain. I'm, on with the show. And that's one of the funniest things that ever happened. The other thing is that we had a great staff. I loved our staff.
Okay. Can you just not refer to your genitals for a little while and talk about the people at the Metropolitan Room? I would appreciate that.
Okay, so I was just reflecting what Joanne keeps telling me, what a great staff we had. So But we had great runners and and bartenders and servers and managers and the whole deal. And they loved us, and we loved them. We really did. We were like family. So one night we were having a razzle dazzle. My wife and I had this drink that we never tried before, but Eddie, our bartender, says, "Hey, you got to try our razzle dazzle." And we shared it. Believe it or not, it was so strong. We shared a drink. We could not get up. Joanne and I had to wait until the whole place was evacuated, and we literally crawled to the stairs to slide down on our asses all the way downstairs to the office until we recovered from that drink. It was such a good drink. I don't know if they tried to kill us, now that I think about it.
What if it had that much alcohol in it? What, didn't it just burn? Wasn't it like fire when you're trying to drink it? How could it be so strong?
Well, it was so sweet. It's a very sweet and delicious drink. It's almost like a milkshake. It's a martini, but it's like a milkshake. It was so delicious that you just, guzzled it down, and before you know it, you're just
out for like. So cool. Were there any, in terms of performance though, were there any moments of either greatness or like oy 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 that you remember from?
Well, I can't say that we had a lot of oy oy oy's, quite honestly, because I think that the majority of even the amateurs that were on the stage, and we gave everybody an opportunity. Not all clubs gave amateurs opportunities. We want everybody to have an opportunity to say that they were on a New York City stage. And that's why people loved us, because we didn't discriminate or anything like that. But one of the funniest moments was Ed Asner did a run called A Man and His Prostate. And it was a very, very funny thing. And he was mimicking that he was peeing and he was shaking shokel. Oh
yeah, I know very, very well.
Good to the last drop thing. And I think people were actually peeing in their pants just looking at it. It was very funny. We had a performer who actually, God rest her soul, she passed away, but she was a terrific person. And she fell off the stage. I think that she was aging and she had no control of her body, and she just literally just fell into the crowd. Thank God she didn't get hurt. They caught her. And to me, it looked like one of those mosh pits, like rock and roll concerts. That's what it looked like. They should have passed her around, but they put her back on stage, and she did finish the show.
She finished the show, my God.
Let me tell you, these artists are so committed to their art and their audiences. They love their audiences because it's an intimate thing. Cabaret is very intimate. They love their audiences and they don't want to disappoint.
And this is the difference. Like when there are times when I'm giving a sermon at the shul, and I have fallen off the bima, nobody catches me. They look, he dropped the,
because they're busy looking at their books. They're looking at the books. They're reading. They have their glasses on.
That's fine. Yeah, let's go with that.
It's nothing to do with you.
But here's the question. It was even before the pandemic, I think, that you chose or whatever to no longer. Unfortunately, the Metropolitan Room is not the Met Room anymore. It's not a cabaret. What happened? Why'd you stop?
Well, we didn't intentionally want to stop. The landlord raised more than doubled our rent when it expired, because we were killing it. We were busy every night. Hundreds of people were coming in and out of that door. And he was converting the building into condos. It was an office building. Then it was all condos. And then people were complaining that, it was loud. So Peter Levy, God bless his soul, was going to partner up with me to open up a big cabaret space that was going to also have classrooms, and we were going to make it a center for cabaret artists where they can meet and convene and have meetings and learn and study and perform. It was going to be a big deal, but we couldn't find a space, and he eventually, I think he moved. The whole thing is that it kind of fell apart, and I was kind of thinking about myself as well. Do I really want to sign a 15-year contract when I'm really retired? And I did it. It was fun, and and we ended it at a high note, and I felt good about that. And that's
what was the last show there? What was the last performance at? The
last performance, if I recall, was two impersonators, and I can't remember the name of the show. But it was a wonderful, very, very high-end show that people just loved. And then that was the last show. And I remember it was September, the end of September, when we closed up. And it was a big crowd because it was a club. We closed the club. We made it into an event. So I gave a speech and a few other people spoke. And then we literally stood outside, like hundreds of us, as we closed the gate. As the gate came down, and people were just sobbing. And we were crying. And I got to tell you, Joanne and I were just talking about, we do miss it. I have the ability to move on and get to the next project, but we do miss it. We made a lot of great friends, and we made a lot of people happy, and that's what life is all about, my friend Dave. You know, when you make people happy.
Sol, excuse me, I'm Sol, not Dave, but yeah.
Sol. Yeah. So what's with the Daves?
It's his show. I just come on here and do this kind of stuff and do sermons and castigate people who are anti-Israel. That's my thing.
Sorry about that.
So what was your next step after, because the Metropolitan Room ended about almost a decade ago at this point. So what's...
About 7 years.
7 or 8 years ago. So what's been your next step?
So the pandemic hit, and I had 6,000 artists on my roster. I moved on to the Triad Theater. They wanted me to run it, and I said, no, we're not really interested in running it, but I'll bring my acts here. And that's what we did. We brought our acts there, and the place is really busy now. And other bookers also got excited about, bringing in a lot of acts too, and so the place is doing very well. So I was involved with that. My son, Jonathan, has been the videographer at Metropolitan Room, and he brought his equipment there, and that's what he does. But
you have a big staff. He has the equipment. So like father, like son. Yes. Exactly.
And the pandemic hit.
Right.
And so what I did was I opened up a TV studio in Long Island City called Metropolitan Zoom. So Metropolitan Room to Metropolitan Zoom. And we had big TV screens with hundreds of people watching the performers. And we were charging tickets just like a regular cabaret. We had a beautiful set. We had great equipment. And we were live streaming shows. And people bought tickets to see it. And it was hugely successful for about a year and a half. And then things, got better for performers. And they got back on stage. And we closed shop. I brought all that equipment to the Southampton Cultural Center, where I opened up a school for young people to learn how to run a TV studio. So I dived in headfirst into a whole nother area, and I had people supporting me and teaching me. And we ran a beautiful TV studio that's still existing today, that trains college and high school students broadcast journalism. So it's a wonderful thing. And then, of course, during the pandemic, I dove deep into my father's story, the Holocaust story. Yep. And that's the connection right there. And my sister-in-law told me, hey, you seem very angry about what happened. There's a good outlet for you. There's a museum up in Glen Cove. Maybe you should talk to them. And that's how I got involved.
So getting involved in the story of your father, what was his name? Mr. Furshpan, but Moshe, that's Jewish. And he was born in Poland?
He was born in Poland, which is now the Ukraine. That part of Poland, which is now Ukraine.
Well, Russia, depending on how the war goes. But we'll see.
This is true.
So he was born, and I guess in the 1920s or maybe 10s. How old was he when?
No, he was born in 1931. So he was 10 years old.
Yeah.
He was 10 years old when the Nazis entered his village. Because remember, Russia occupied that for 2 years. Russia occupied half of Poland when Hitler invaded Poland in 1939.
So at that point he was safe, and as soon as Russia left,
Russia, they retreated, and they told the elders of my father's little village of 1,500 people, "You better come with us. They're going to kill you." Well, they're going to kill us. They're not going to kill. We've been through this before, and so they had a welcoming committee for the Nazis.
No,
they did.
No,
it's true. They had 3 people with food and money and wine as the Gestapo were the first to enter in their motorcycles, and they executed them right on the spot and arrested all the Jews in the village. So they had no idea what they were up against.
And the descendants of that welcoming committee are the kids, the Jewish kids in the tents who are in universities now protesting.
If they're alive, if they're around. Only 30 people made it out alive from that village. My dad was one of them.
So first of all, where was your dad's mom and dad, and did he have siblings, or what happened with that?
So there was it's a family of 8. My father had a 4-year-old brother, a sister, other brothers, and parents. So it was a family of 8, and my dad was the only one that made it out alive. They killed them all. They shot him in the head.
So how did he was the only one who went to the forest?
Yeah, so my grandfather told me, so when he heard the shots, rang out, when the Nazis came into the village, my grandfather advised my dad to go watch a cow of this Protestant farmer. And the Protestant farmer could have been a collaborator, he could have been a bystander, but he was an upstander. He told my dad to go run to the forest and hide and never come out. And he'd lived there for 3 years. Somehow he managed to get
How? I mean, was he just living on nuts and berries and what?
Right, so he was living on berries, mushrooms, and tree bark. And once in a while, if there was a carcass, like a rabbit carcass, he would eat that. He would also go to the farms surrounding the woods and steal, vegetables, potatoes, whatever. But he was pretty much by himself.
For 3 years. Was he ever suicidal? Did he ever say, this is never going to end and I might as well kill myself now?
Not at all, not at all. He said he was very stoic about everything. He was like a hunted animal, so his senses were really keen and listening in. And at night especially, that's when they hunted down the Jews. They were hunting them down at night because they were with their German shepherds who could sniff them out because they were hiding in the ground. They would dig a ditch and cover themselves with leaves. And so that's when they would hunt them down at night.
So how did he elude being sniffed out by dogs?
So there was one night when he was sleeping with a mother and a baby because he stole food from a farm and he gave it to the mother so she can create breast milk. And so he slept with her, and that night the Germans were coming through with their German shepherds.
As opposed to Polish shepherds, yeah. Yeah.
Right, and the baby started to cry. So
yes,
and then so the mother had to make a choice, which millions of mothers had a very bad choice and an awful choice. But she took my father's hand and she forced him to silence the baby, and he lived with that guilt his entire life.
So it's literally like the MASH episode, like the very last MASH episode where the chicken's crying on the bus and it's not a chicken. Remember that?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. But anywho, so he literally, wait, so your father killed a baby?
She made a child silence a child. That's what she did.
So he suffocated the kid?
Yeah. That's what millions of Jews had to do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not pointing a finger.
But it happens in every genocide where people are in hiding and babies are crying. They had to make a choice everywhere, even in the Rwanda. Genocide in Syria, everywhere there's a genocide, people are in hiding. And if there's a baby, they're all in trouble. The baby's in trouble for sure.
So he survives.
It's sad that we're not protecting children this way in the world. It's just crazy.
And so let me, by the way, when you say his whole other family, they were all shot when the Nazis first came in, or were some in camps, or
so
what?
for a full year, they were all they imposed upon all of the Jews in the village to work every day. They forced them to build a road. After a year, they're all skinny. They're all skin and bones because they fed them like 2 slices of bread a day. That's 300 calories a day. You can't live on that. After a year, they marched them into the forest and shot them in the head in a big ditch.
Right. Yeah. By the way, you're watching Dave's Gone By with me, Rabbi Sol Solomon. We're here with Bernie Furshpan, having so much fun. So how did, there was a Japanese guy, a Japanese soldier, who was hiding in the Japanese forest, and he wasn't, found until the 1970s.
Right.
And he didn't even trust people were coming after him to kind of bring him home. It's like, the war's not over, it's a trick. How did you...
It's amazing that there's no laundromats in the forest. He couldn't. He had the same. Just imagine, he had the same underwear for all those years. So
actually, so do I. I can't afford new ones. So it's falling apart. It's colors that aren't seen in nature.
Are you sure you're a rabbi?
I play one on TV. But let me ask you: how did your father find out that suddenly the war was, or the Nazis were retreating and so forth?
Well, again, the Russians come back. The Soviets come back. And he told me that they didn't come running out when the Soviets came. They didn't trust anybody. After 3 years, they were all like animals. They lived like animals, so they didn't trust anybody. But eventually they came out, and the Russians would put like food and clothing on the outskirts of the forest, and slowly they trusted them. It's almost like putting, milk, a bowl of milk for a stray cat. Eventually they trust you.
This is what my wife does with a bowl of borscht. If I've been traveling in something and I'm afraid to go, I don't know her mood, I don't know. But if there's a little bowl of borscht by the door, I'm like, oh, it should be all right.
She understands. She knows how it works.
She does, yeah. So
a stray husband.
So now he's basically, as you said, been living like a wild animal for 3 years, but he meets civilization again, if you will. How does he get back? It's not like, let me just get a corporate job, and I'll be fine. What happens to him in the transition?
The Jews, look, let's be honest. The Jews could not go back to where they came from because, first of all, their villages were destroyed. Most of the people were killed. He ended up in a displaced persons camp in Munich after the war. He was 14, 15, and he decided to go to Israel, and that's where he ended up in Israel.
Right, and this would have been, was it, quote unquote, Palestine at that point, or did he go before it was,
It was Palestine. It was well before Palestine, and he fought in the Independence Day War, too, also in 1948,
Yeah, so how long did he stay in Israel? Were you born in Israel? Because you have a little bit of an accent.
I was born in Israel. I have an accent.
A little bit. Abyssal, yeah.
I was born in Israel with my twin brother, and we were there until age 6, and that's when they brought us to Brooklyn, New York.
Of course you went to Brooklyn. Well, why did you guys leave Israel? Why did you choose to come to America?
Well, they never really were transparent about why they brought us. They always said they gave us opportunities, but I think that, look, let's be honest. They were sick of the war. It was dangerous to live even in Israel because of the wars, because we would have to grow up and serve in the military. They didn't want to lose us too. They had enough of loss, I think. That's my interpretation of
Israel would be such a wonderful place without the Arabs in it. I'm just throwing that out there, but
the Arabs in it are okay. They live nicely with the Jews there. It's the ones outside. It's the ones surrounding Israel that's the issue. So, I mean, look, we go to Arab restaurants all the time in Israel, and they serve in the military, and they're in the Knesset. But we're talking that's a whole political.
That's all political. We won't go there. But so come. You're 6 years old. You come to America, and your father and whatever, and your twin brother. I know you. How's he doing?
He's still practicing. He's a psychologist. Yeah.
Well, I hope he practices until he finally gets it right. He shouldn't be examining people's heads if he hasn't gotten it correct yet. But okay, so was it? You were so young; it probably wasn't culture shock to come to the U.S., or was it? For you,
I do remember that I did not know a word in English, and I was thrown right into first grade, and I was a little lost and confused, quite honestly. But I remember by the second grade, I felt pretty normalized, in America. I felt this was a place for me to be, but I did miss Israel. I remember even as a young kid, I missed Israel. I always wanted to go back, but my wife and I, we go back a lot. We go back at least once a year. Good.
Make it twice a year, double aliyah. You need to do this.
Okay.
So how did, your story is it's not yours, it's your father's story, but it's kind of telling on you as well. How did that go into becoming the movie, which I haven't even mentioned at the time, I Am Bernie Furshpan? So what,
So when I delved into my father's story, I got involved with the Holocaust Museum in Glen Cove, and I was thrown in front of, students to tell my dad's story. They liked what I did, and I became one of the top docents there. And then they put me on the board, and I'm the vice chairman of the museum. But I'm also the marketing director because that's my little niche there, and as well as a podcast producer. So we built a beautiful TV studio. Again, this is the third studio I've built, and we're doing some great podcasting. It's called HMTV. Stands for what? Holocaust Museum? It's the Holocaust Museum is called HMTC, which is the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center. And so I opened up the studio calling it HMTV. HM would represent Humanity Matters TV.
Nice. Yeah. So are all your programming devoted just to the Holocaust, or is it more broader Jewish themes?
It's much more broader. It's not all negative. It's very positive. It's about bringing heroes, local heroes, about what they're doing, the mitzvahs they're doing, and the upstanding things that they do. But also we have 20 hosts who do their own series, including historians and educators and things like that, to talk about specific subjects. People from the United Nations, rabbis, and we have.
Good. Need more rabbis. Yeah, I'm available. By the way, if
Good to know.
Yeah, I can do a show.
You'll have to come out to Glen Cove.
Glen Cove, I'd be proud to. So let me ask you. A lot of people when they come through trauma like that, in terms of your dad, I'm talking again. The family ask him, or the kids ask him about it, people ask him, I don't want to talk about it. I lived through it. Was your dad like that, or was he like, because you're telling his story, he obviously told you his story. Did it take some time for him to share it, or was he like, no, I'm going to tell what the Nazis did and blah, 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 blah?
So most of the survivors didn't speak for about 40 years. They really did not want to talk about it. They wanted to move on until films like Shoah and Schindler's List, and then the museums opened up. They realized that they better tell their stories because they're going to be.
They go, yeah.
And so when I was a teenager, my parents started opening up and telling us the stories. So the stories, like one story that I told you is my mom told me what my dad went through because he couldn't talk about it. He still couldn't talk about it. But my mom told me the stories because she didn't want that story to disappear.
Well, what was her story? She's, I guess, American, or because she didn't meet him until he came back, or what was her?
No, my mother was also in Israel, and she also was a survivor, but she didn't actually see the atrocities that my dad did. So what happened was, my dad was on the eastern side of Poland in a village, and most of those little villages, those shtetls, really, it was all hearsay about the Nazis, but those that lived on the border, on the other side of Germany, knew exactly what was happening. So my mother was on that side of Poland. And when the Nazis crossed over the border, September 1st, 1939, my grandmother picked up her 4 little kids and put them on a train to go to Russia, 1,400-mile journey. So she gets my grandmother gets off the train to get food for her kids. My mother was only 2 years old. And she comes back and the train is gone with the kids. And it took my grandmother 5 years to find the 4 kids. And my mother ended up in a Christian Russian orphanage. And she found her at age 7. And my mother didn't recognize her own mother, but she had papers to prove that it was her daughter. Somehow, I don't know how she did it, how she found all 4 kids. I have no clue. This is something that I got to find out.
Is your mom still with you? I mean, can you?
Both my parents are gone, and on my mother's side, we had a couple of aunts and an aunt and a couple of uncles, but they're all gone. And my cousins really don't know too much of the story, so I have to do some investigative work.
It sounds like your mother's story is about as interesting as your dad's too.
It's like a script of a film. It really is. It's just an incredible story that people. Yeah. Will do anything to survive. That's really people.
Oh, please! You don't want to know the things I did on 42nd Street too. But anywho, here's a question for you. The movie is I Am Bernie Furshpan, right? But it's not. I assume I haven't seen it. Unfortunately, I want to. But is it all talking head, or what kind of footage or documentation or visuals went into the movie to tell the story? What do you have that documents what happened?
Right. So go to whoever's listening and yourself, you can go to iambernie.com and you'll see the trailer. And pretty much sums it up. They followed me for a week with a whole crew. So the filmmaker basically witnessed one of my testimonies about my father's story, and she comes up to me. She says, I got to do a documentary about your story here. I said, okay, we'll talk about it. But anyway, she talked me into it. We ended up doing it. She followed me because I probably speak at more schools than anybody else. I'm always in an auditorium speaking to students almost every day during the high season, usually in the springtime. And so she followed me to the schools, followed me home, followed me in the car, interviewed me everywhere, and then followed me at the museum, giving the tours. And so that's pretty much, that was it. She asked me questions. It was a lot of me speaking at different.
Oh, I was also wondering if they had any things from your physical things like from the 30s or clothing or because your father lived in a forest. He's not going to have paperwork. Right. He's not going to have, No,
there's nothing that I had that, the only one thing I had that he did not have in the forest, but he was given after the war, was a photograph of his mother when she was young. I have no other photographs of any other family members. I have no clue what they look like.
So what did you learn or feel about yourself and your family from doing the film? Because you learned the stories in your teens when your father started opening up, your mom started opening up, and then you've been talking and giving these lectures. Did having the cameras follow you for a week and then watching the finished movie, was there anything you learned from that process that you didn't already know?
Yeah, I learned a lot about myself, that I'm doing God's work. I know it's important to keep the stories alive, but I had no idea how much impact I have on students, because they filmed hundreds and hundreds and thousands of students reacting to the things that I said. And they were all very engaged. And I've been on CBS and NBC and Fox, and I've been on most of the networks and the local TV, and they report about the things that I do, and it's nice, but I'm not doing it for that. But apparently, I'm doing a good job. That's the point, and I did not realize that I'm doing a good job, but I'm proud to say I'm doing a good job, and I'm going to continue doing it until I can't do it anymore, and that's it.
So what do you do though, as was the vice chair of the museum, of the Holocaust Museum out in Glen Cove? What do you do when I'm sure you are confronted with young people who tell you, oh, look, there's a Holocaust museum. The Holocaust was terrible, what they did to the Jews. Why are the Jews doing that now to Gaza? How do you respond to the equation of what happened in Gaza or is happening to the word genocide?
We have to see, the whole point of educating young people is to make them more better critical thinkers, to not just be obedient to whatever's out there, not to be deceived by misinformation and disinformation. So that's the whole point, is not just to fight back and say, oh, it's all a big lie, because then we come across too defensive. Oh, it's a lie, it's not true, we're not killing babies, don't you know, you get the facts. We have to make them better critical thinkers and realize that social media is not a news outlet. They really do need to investigate and understand the history, the factual history of the Jews in that land. We all know. It's like, you got to be kidding me. Everybody knows the history of the Jews. Jesus Christ was Jewish. King
There
David
was a Jesus, but okay.
Okay, but the point is that, and what I'm saying is that they lived in the land of Judea. Where did this word come from? They lived in the land of Judea. David slew Goliath. Everybody knows this story. He built a city for his nation. This is their homeland. For 2,000 years, Jews were singing at the end of Passover Seder. Next year, back in Jerusalem, our homeland. We said it for 2,000 years. And so it's not like Israel is an entity since 1948. It's been around for thousands of years. We all know this. Wake up and just remember. It's not something that we have to educate. Just remember the facts. Don't cover it with nonsense. People are being brainwashed so quickly, and this is one of the lessons of the Holocaust, that we are so fragile that people are easily manipulated and lied to, and sometimes even coerced to do bad things. And that's what's happening today. So we're seeing people being obedient to some kind of ideology that is false. It's built around a lie, and they're obedient to it. And so, like we're trying to say to people, come on, enough is enough. Would you just wake up and realize that there's no room for it on this tiny little planet that's floating in the middle of the universe. I mean, we have a little soil here that we all share. Can't we be a little nicer to each other? The fact is, I tell kids all the time, it's a scientific fact. It's genetics. It's not religion. It's not anything else. It's a scientific fact, genetically, that every person on this planet is somewhere between your 15th and 50th cousin. It's always a family reunion anytime you bump into anybody. So you have to look at people from that point of view. We're kin. We're not enemies. Yeah. And so we have to.
This is why I'm only 4 degrees from Kevin Spacey. I blew the joke. Well, what's the guy's name? I blew the goddamn joke. I was so captivated.
But it's actually very funny. What you said was very funny.
Thank
You're a
you.
very funny guy. You take a very serious and heavy subject and you lighten it up. So
I do, don't I? I'm so good.
do.
But let me tell you, Bernie Furshpan, also, how do I wish I could just twist and manipulate and torture people to do good. This is my goal in life. If I could just, in my way, just turn people from the stupidity that they have, and even if I have to lie to them and hurt them, that's okay by me. But yes, to do good and to make, as you say, this little soil that we're on, that we're all trying to share, and we don't destroy with pollution and stuff. Just I share with you, you share. You don't hurt me, I won't hurt you. You don't have to love me.
we share the same air. I breathe out the air that you breathe
Oh,
in.
I know. I smell it. Maybe a claret.
It's awful. I gotta say. Let's be honest. But we have to look at it from a broader perspective. And unfortunately, it only happens to astronauts who go up in space. Like the 5 women that went up into space, they say, oh my God, what a transformative experience. As you're looking at the planet, you realize, oh my God, we're all sharing this tiny little thing that's floating in the middle of nowhere. Why are we fighting? They all ask the same question. Why are we fighting with each other? You see, we all need to get out of the mud and stop the blame, stop throwing sticks at each other. What happens is, and it's been happening for thousands of years, I hit you, you hit me. I hit you back, you hit me back. I hit you back, you hit me. It just never ends. We got to stop all of this. This is just my philosophy. And just pull back, catch your breath, and realize we're all related. Let's all do this together. Let's share this planet in a nicer way. Unfortunately, it's easier said than done, obviously. There's always these ideologies and psychopaths who just constantly promulgate, hatred. And the majority of people, 99% of the people, are good. Unfortunately, they're easily manipulated because that was proven in the 1930s in Nazi Germany. Good people. German people were very industrious. Jews were part of the culture. They were part of the fabric. They were generals. They were in the government. They were in medicine. But good people were convinced and lied to do bad things, and that's what's happening again today. So we didn't learn the lesson of the Holocaust. That's the problem.
And it happened to a lesser extent in the 1950s when everybody was afraid of communists. Right. And people will say it's even happening today when people are afraid of immigrants. Right. Like, oh my God, no students in Harvard should be from another country. It's like, come on, no, pick and choose. Get the Israeli students into Harvard. Harvard's grades will go way up. Anywho, we've been talking with Bernie Furshpan. Is it BernieFurshpan.com was the website you mentioned? Bernie?
I am Bernie.
I Am Bernie's the movie.
So the movie is actually The Weight of Memory. I am Bernie Furshpan. And so the website is just IamBernie.com.
IamBernie.com. For the movie itself, do you have a separate website for you, or is that your whole gestalt thing?
I'm all over the place. You just look me up and you'll find me everywhere.
So where can we find your movie? Because it's still, just individual screenings, and they bring it to this museum.
Right. So we just signed a contract with a distributor. So it's going to be on Hulu, Amazon, Apple, and hopefully on Netflix within the next few weeks. So
Oh, good. Yeah. I desperately want to say, I think everybody watching this interview with Bernie Furshpan wants to see this movie and wants to share even the chat that we just had, because it's just been so fun and deep and dark and all the good things that you want from an interview. Last question for Bernie Furshpan before I let you go. I assume you're here on Shabbos. You're not religious per se, but how do you relate to Judaism? What's Jewish about you?
Well, Judaism is not just a religion; it's a culture. It is a culture. It's a way of life. It's a way of looking at things. It's a way of being kind to others. There's a lot of great values that this culture teaches the world. And contributes to the world in a huge way.
Yes.
And then I wonder, is this envy? Are people envious of the fact that we're kind to others? What are they envious about? Just be kind. It's so easy to be kind. It's so easy to push your kids to do well in school. All of these things are part of the culture. It's just learn about Judaism. You don't have to be a Jew, but learn about the culture and see the things that we've done. Even during the bubonic plague, many Jews did not contract the plague because they wash their hands before they enter the house. It's part of the culture. So there's a lot of things that we contribute via this culture, not just the religious aspect.
It's the big emotional and spiritual and intellectual things, all the way down to washing your hands or Ed Asner's prostate. All of them Jewish in a beautiful way. Speaking of Jewish and beautiful, we've been talking with Bernie Furshpan. I wish you much success, certainly with the museum, and you'll probably have 3 more next steps over the next 20, 30, 40 years. Probably. I hope they're wonderful. I hope you will stay in touch. I'm looking forward to seeing your movie, and I'm wishing you a great, good, healthy, and wonderful shalom.
Wonderful. So, do me a favor, just go to the website, iambernie.com, and watch the trailer when you have a minute.
I've seen the trailer. That's why I want to see the movie.
Yeah, you'll see the trailer, you'll get the idea.
iambernie.com, everybody. iambernie.com.
Thank you for having me on your wonderful show. You're a terrific guy.
Thank you so much. Chai and shalom to you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, my friends. My goodness, what a fantastic conversation, despite me. What a wonderful conversation with Bernard, a.k.a. Bernie Furshpan. Go, wait for you. A couple of weeks ago, God willing, be on Hulu, Netflix, and all those places. Check out the website, iambernie.com. Bernard Furshpan making me so proud to wear this and this and this and these and to be Jewish in 2025 when it has not been a wonderful time in a lot of ways to be Jewish in 2025. I, by the way, am Rabbi Sol Solomon. You can find out more about me by going to shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T. Shalomdammit.com. You'll read my sermons and hear them too. You can watch my stage show, which unfortunately I never did at the Metropolitan Room. I should have. It's called Shalom Dammit, An Evening with Me. I also did a TV program called Shalom Dammit, Rabbi Sol Solomon's Peace, Love, and Acid Reflux Hour. All the episodes are at shalomdammit.com. Please do check them out. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a delight to be on the Dave's Gone By program this Shabbos morning, but now I've got to turn back to Dave, who is the producer, the founder of this full program. So, ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful Shabbos. Have a good, thoughtful Memorial Day. Instead of just letting it go through and, I have a day off from work. Memorialize the people who died for this country and for Israel and for all the good countries, please. And then I'll see you sometime in June. In fact, I'll probably be on the Tony Awards special that Dave will be doing in 2 weeks. Very excited. Till then, shalom, damn it! Okay, well, we're back. Dave Lefkowitz here with the rest of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the Stream Moment here on our, that fell over there, our 985th episode of the show. I hope this isn't a sign of things to come, a prescient sign, but I was helping Rabbi Sol undress, no, not all the way, just as much as he needs to, and he took this off his shirt, and look what happened. It's so sad, so tragic. I don't know if this can be glued back again. But you know what? You can do this to a symbol, but you can't do it to the people. So I'm sorry, Rabbi Sol. I seem to have broken your star, but not your stardom. Anyway, it is Saturday, May 20th, and Rabbi Sol and I have been drinking from the same mug. It's all right. We both get the same diseases. Although I think he has a touch of Tay-Sachs. You're watching the May 24th, 2025 episode of Dave's Gone By, our 985th show. and we're calling it For Sure in honor of our guest in the Daverhood, Bernie Furshpan. Wasn't he just absolutely fantastic? But we do have more to do on this program, because this is, I know we haven't been on in 2 weeks. People are like, well, I don't even remember what's on this program. Well, let me tell you. First of all, we're going to have, we may have it in different order, but Greeley Times, which is based on a period of time when my wife and I lived in northern Colorado, and we're getting the newspaper there, the Greeley Tribune, which would take funny, not intentionally funny, these were real, but people would call into the local police station with problems and issues that they were having in their neighborhoods. And the funniest ones were then collected every week in the paper when people would say, can you believe somebody called the police about this? Yes. And so we take the funniest ones, and the Trib is still doing that. So we thank them, and we'll share some of them with you in a segment that we call Greeley Times. Also, because I was in New York a couple of weeks ago, and because we are going to be doing our annual Tony special, our Toggle Theater Tony Award special, and I do believe this year will be our 20th anniversary doing a Tony show. I know the number fell over, and look what happened, hon.
What?
Look at this. I was taking this off the rabbi.
Whoa.
Yeah.
We could glue that. We could glue. There's glue.
We're going to need like wood glue or something.
Glue? Yeah, we have glue.
It's like ceramic glue.
We have a lot of glue. Yeah,
So
glue.
sad.
You want to put it here so we don't break it?
Yeah, well, it's already broken, but,
Break it,
well.
Don't lose the pieces, yeah.
Oh,
I guess you can't pay $1 anymore for stuff in exchange.
what's like $1?
Yes. It was less than $1.
Worth every penny. Okay, it served us when we needed it.
Here, read this. Somebody is...
Oh, so people were watching the interview.
Yeah, but you have somebody writing about potatoes.
Let me see. Okay, well, let's getting my glasses. Hold on.
When you say it, it'll be very meaningful.
All right, so we got Love This Mensch, someone with with Bernie's last name. Okay. All right. I'm going to read this message. Oh, I was wondering where this was going. Someone I don't even know, but thank you for writing. In 1985.
Whole potato.
Oh, yeah, yes. I saw an asteroid, and I guess that's a deeper version of a hemorrhoid. I saw an asteroid roll out of the shadow of the Earth in the west that was bigger than a football at arm's length, and it was the color and shape of a big brown potato. And it spun once every 5 seconds and took about 5 minutes to hit the moon.
Here.
I also love potatoes.
Show this.
Okay. I'm going to show this. And Joshua, and this is not my cousin Josh, this is for you. This, which was taken only a couple of weeks ago, this is for you. He loves potatoes.
That's a lot of people do.
Thank you also for the love from some other people who were watching and said hi, and were, oh yes, we have not traded potatoes for sloths. I still obviously love potatoes. Anywho, yeah, and thank you, Gary, for what, no, I don't want to do that. Okay, Gary and Nomi and Evo, and, Evo, say hi to Piero, will you? And Tamara, well, yes, and Paul. Yes, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you did tune in and you thought that the interview between Rabbi Sol and Bernie Furshpan was amazing, which I think it kind of was, tell your friends, tell everybody that Dave's Gone By, of course, has a website, davesgoneby.com, where all of our archives go. And if you just go there, you can listen to our very first show, which was on radio. Our 100th show was on radio. We were an audio program for many, many, many years. All those episodes are saved for free, so you can hear what I was doing with this program 18 years ago, 7 years ago, 4 years ago. It's all there. You know, these 985 programs, 982 of them.
85. Oh, I think the sloths did it. Look.
Oh, the slot, yeah, maybe. No, that started before the slots were going. But, yeah. Plus, we put we put all of our archives on archive.org. We have a channel there called archive.org. And our channel is the Dave's Gone By channel. It's all the episodes and all the interviews.
The on-air looks so teeny.
What looks teeny?
Teeny, the on-air. It looks look so
Well, because this is pretty far
the
away.
scope, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, the scope.
But so if sometimes Dave's Gone By might be down our website, you can go to archive.org and see a lot of the same material right there. It doesn't matter. We own davesgoneby.com. Archive.org is a nonprofit website of thousands and thousands and thousands of books and films and old radio shows and old music. Check it out, archive.org. Plus,
Okay, drink your tea.
I'm drinking my tea. We have our audio archives, only audio, at castbox.fm. CASTBOX, castbox.fm. It's really for podcasting, but it's the audio only of all our programs. But we do have a channel there. You can hear all our shows. So if you're on the go and you want to treat our show more as a real podcast, as opposed to something like a video hybrid, whatever, go to castbox.fm. That's a great way to download it. Anyway, all these different ways of watching and checking out Dave's Gone By, especially important now since we got word a few weeks ago, everybody has, that Facebook is starting to delete episodes, like are more than a month or two old.
Wow, so it's gonna good you have that archive.
Yeah, because you always count on rolling back the last 5 years of Facebook and watching a show from 2021 or 22. No, those are going to be gone. They're being deleted. Why Facebook suddenly needs space? How Facebook is losing bandwidth? I have no clue what their issue is, but it sucks. And we also have a channel on YouTube, the Dave's Gone By channel, which has tons of material on it, but some of it has been affected over the years by just copyright issues. When we used to play music, because we were on student radio, we were on terrestrial radio, we'd play tons of music, and then suddenly it's like, oh no, ASCAP, BMI, you can't have that on YouTube, so whatever. Anywho, I was telling people we've got Greeley Times coming up. We're going to go...
Look at the sloths.
Look at them. We're going to go inside Broadway for a review of the new Broadway play Purpose, which, by the way, won the Pulitzer Prize a couple of weeks ago. Whoa. So I'll let you know whether it deserved the Pulitzer Prize and whether you should go see it. Ooh. And then what else shall we do? It's time for the, Greeley Times. Oh, close your eyes. Close your eyes. Ladies and gentlemen. Is it? Yes. One of the things I started doing.
Please, David, no.
No, come on. It's not bad.
Here you win the award.
It's kind of gross. Ladies and gentlemen, I started doing, back when I had COVID, I think, and then maybe a bit of long COVID, was a segment called My Old Phlegm, where basically I'm an old Jewish man. I'm 61 years old. I'm Jewish. I'm from New York originally. So it got to the point where, like a child, oh no, we're doing this. I have a special talent where I can read my phlegm like gypsies read tea leaves. They can look in the bottom of a cup after you've drunk a glass of tea and see, oh, this is going to be your future. This is going to be that. So let's see. And for me, it's also like cloud watching. What does this look like? Well, I am not kidding. I've been sick all week. I've had bronchitis. And I've gotten through the show pretty well, all things considered. And 3 days ago, I didn't even have a voice. But now, I did cough up, I hacked up a little bit of sputum, a tiny bit of yellow sputum that I'm going to share with you. And I'm not kidding. Don't look. To me, it resembles a heart. So look the heart I have. The love, it's a little hard to see. It's a little gooey. You can see it. All of you having breakfast right now. Yes, this is, and it represents, I see love. I see the joy that I remember getting for doing this show. Because it's been so sporadic over the past couple of months, because all the things that my wife and I are dealing with family and going back and forth to New York and other things, it's just been horrible times for a bunch of weeks. And then there are times when I get up and say, I'm glad I'm not doing my show on Saturday. You know, I'm here. I'm over in New York. I'm not this. I just don't want to fucking deal. Don't want to get on here for 3 hours and yap or try and, you know, be effervescent and bubbly and type A when I'm not feeling it. But then I get on the show like I am this morning, and I have a great guest, and I have fun, and I've got my energy, and I've got my voice, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I heart Dave's Gone By. I do. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is this week's My Old Phlegm. And all the people who tuned in, by the way, to see Bernie Furshpan, and all the people who never heard of the show before are like, oh. They're like, I tuned in, I was enjoying the show, and then this lunatic held his phlegm up to the camera. Well, you know, what can I say? This was also a week, excuse me, when I saw a picture of Steven Tyler's toes. If you think this is gross, ladies and gentlemen, go Google, take a moment, Steven Tyler, the lead singer of Aerosmith, not a young man himself. There's just images going around of his actual feet in sandals when he's walking around town or when he's been on stage, actually. And I have, as you folks have seen in Bunyan Watch, a bit of a hammer toe. You know, I've got big toe here, and then the big toe is kind of crossing over onto the toe that's right next to it. OMG. Steven Tyler has like a hoof. He's got a cross between a chicken claw and a hoof on both his feet. Plus, he paints his toenails. So that's if you're not trying to bring attention to the fact that you have demon feet, then yeah, let's just paint them a weird color. Why not do that? But you see the one toe entirely crossed over the big toe, and it's long and gnarly. Do you want to show them? What is that? You know what? Look at it. Can I have the other phone? I might as well show Steven Tyler's toe. Please. Please, no. My wife is like, no, I'm not going to let you show that.
I'll do it. I'll give a model for you.
While I cough up a lung. Here we go. Oh, that's brilliant. This is brilliant. This is what Steven Tyler's toe should look like. This is what Steven Tyler's toe does look like. Actually, this is also closer to my phlegm here, but there it is. So my wife did find on my Facebook feed someone who found, and this is important, flushing oxygen through rectum may offer life-saving alternative to ventilators, scientists say. Yes, filling your asshole with fresh air could help keep, instead of putting people on a ventilator like they did during COVID and keeping them alive just essentially like in an iron lung, all they had to do was do an air enema. All they got to do is like put air in the tuchus to keep. Isn't science wonderful? Isn't nature amazing? Everybody says we don't know enough about the brain. Yeah. Although what the brain can actually do and how it works, science knows maybe 15-20% in our studies of the brain, and we're going to learn just how incredible the brain. How incredible is the ass? Now that we think about it, how amazing of the fact that something that I wouldn't have saved his life, but something that would have helped my father, presumably, towards the later stages of his life, which were quite unfortunate, speaking of my dad, excuse me. So news also came out just a day or two ago that Billy Joel, who looked like my dad in the later stages of his life, for like the last 20 years, once he went bald and gray, Billy Joel looked a lot like my dad. I'm going to look like Billy Joel and my dad. I already do a little bit, but not quite like this. Here, they literally took a picture where his head looks the size of like a watermelon. But Billy Joel has hydrocephalus, right? Which is a water on the.
You feel better if you fling some bunnies or something with that.
No, I'm on a. You can fling bunnies behind me while I'm on a roll, but Billy Joel has this water in the brain, water in the head thing. And he's unfortunately canceling his Madison Square Garden things and any touring that he was going to be doing while he deals with this, while he supposedly gets some kind of medicine. I don't know what medicine he's getting. My dad.
Shunt.
Well, that's a procedure. So he's probably going to get the shunt that my dad refused because they didn't want to go invasive into him. When he found out, when he was finally diagnosed with, when he was finally diagnosed with hydrocephalus, in his, I guess, 50s was when they discovered it. But he probably had it since childhood. There they go. And so my father was given the choice. He could do these meds, or he could get the shunt that kind of drains the brain, in drain in the membrane, in drain in the brain. And he chose not to do that. I don't know what Billy Joel's going to do. But one thing, as Dad went downhill and could no longer walk, and could, there we go, we got him. And Dad was having all these issues, and eventually was in a wheelchair and was bedbound. One of the things that happened was he went for dentistry. And this is all actually going to be tying back to the anus, by the way. He went for dentistry one time, and they gave him antibiotics before, as a pre-procedural caution. Because, when they go in, there's blood, there's thing, they go into the teeth, and they want to be very cautious with an older person that, let's give him antibiotics. So, thank you. Yes, thank you. And just as a precautionary measure. Well, you know what antibiotics do. They kill all the bad little bacteria in your body, right? They also kill all the fucking bacteria in your body, all the good. Here's another. Here we go. So it kills the good bacteria in his body, which eventually leads to, what's the word I'm not? C. diff. Clostridium differentis, or whatever they call it, which is, mistreated, kind of misdiagnosed for a while. He gets it, and they have to cut out half of his fucking intestines, right? And now he spent his last 3-4 years with a bag, a stoma, had to be changed, all this stuff. He's lying in bed. He's like, everything about it is miserable, and he's got C. diff, and the C. diff leads to him losing his intestine. But one of the things that could have saved him, and yes, I'm coming back to to the proper story here, is they have these things, and I've talked about them before, called shitinis, right? They have these things called poop or fecal transplants, where you take a person related, like DNA, etc., or a related person with similar genetics, and they donate not blood, not plasma, not Spinal Tap stuff. They take a shit, and they take this shit, and they put it into the asshole of the sick person. And the shit has back to, you're laughing, but you talk that this is a true thing. This is a medical procedure. They take the poo.
I didn't teach you this.
They take healthy poo, put it in the person, a person who needs to grow good flora and fauna in their bodies, and it does. Suddenly the good stuff starts blooming, overtakes the bad stuff, and it saves intestines. It saves digestive systems. It saves people, saves lives. So, the idea of this, and also what one assumes is a fairly reasonably painless procedure, because it ain't a spinal tap, and it's not a transplant. It's just, hey, I'm just going to open up your ass for a while, and stuff, instead of shit coming out of it.
I don't think that's how they present it to the patient.
That's how I would. And if it works, man, and it apparently does work, so what we need to learn, forget the brain, what we need to learn about the bunghole is extraordinary. And notice what you just sent me from the person who posted on Facebook, that we can now,
David, that's not real science.
Put air in the air. I'll bet it is.
That's not just a crazy person.
Wait, no.
The people on your Facebook need some support. They all have some issues then.
Wait. Go back to that article. And
I can't find it.
It must be based on a scientific study that if you fill a tuchus with air, the air will come into you somehow And it will in certain cases, I guess, mitigate the need for.
Somebody wrote, I refuse to believe the news about Smokey Robinson.
Oh, I think it's, naughty women stuff. Yeah.
I don't understand any of
But
this.
but wouldn't it be extraordinary if we could keep people off ventilators just by ventilating their buttholes? Wouldn't it, and if we can keep people having intestines in their body and not having to have colostomies and stomas and all these things just by pushing doo-doo, extra doo-doo into them? I mean, we don't know nearly enough about the tush. And if that does sound ridiculous, so filling a person with air, how come, you can have a medicine that you put on topically, and then it does go into your system. It goes into your body. It's soothes if you have pain or something like that. So obviously there's ways to put things into you that don't have to be surgically whatevered or injected painfully. And so if it can seep in different ways, why not? I'm sure people laughed when doctors and surgeons came up with a way of saying, you know what, we can do this surgery by cutting open your chest, doing a rib spread or a cracker, and then do this and this and close her up. It'll be a long, painful healing process. But no, now we can go up through like the hole in your dick, or we can go up through your ass or an abdomen, make a little hole in your abdomen, go up, put in the heart, put in the pacemaker, put in the tube.
Say this, that you are definitely not an MD.
I know, but is it not true that they don't have to always crack open a chest to do heart procedures now?
I don't know.
Everything is computer. Everything is like they get the little arm, it goes up, they direct it on the computer like an Xbox game, and it's like, okay, computer, just take your little arm and slice this with a laser, slice that, poop, take your other arm.
Your discussion about poop took you from like 5 years to 60.
Really?
Yes.
I thought you were going to say it went right down.
Apparently people like doo-doo humor.
Or maybe they love my phlegm.
No, I think it was after the doo-doo humor, everything went higher.
Yes.
I think,
Anyway, but you were ringing the bell before because...
I can't find my normal bell, so I have...
Oh, I have this bell. This is it?
This is the new phone.
Oh, I like that one, yes. So this is Greeley. Oh, here come the chickens. We may have a chicken alert. I'm not sure. Chickens, flying chickens. Oh, my, that one right in front of the camera. Excellent. Keep them coming, Bark! Bark! Here we go. Oh, yes. I didn't quite make it.
Do you want to use your lasers? Ow, you kicked me in the...
Sorry, babe.
Don't kick my osteoporotic hands.
that one. I can get. No, I'm. Oh well.
One more, last one here.
Last chicken. Let's make it a great one. Yeah.
And here you
Yeah.
go. Do you want to use one of your lasers? How about to match your
Yes, I should have done this with Bernie, or the rabbi should have done this with Bernie. Here, especially for today,
give it to me.
is my Jewish space laser.
Give it to me. No, matches your blue outfit.
It does, yeah.
You're all in blue today.
But Greeley Times, ladies and gentlemen, Greeley Times is based on phone calls that come into the Greeley police station up in northern Colorado. And people call for all sorts of, and every police department, God knows the calls are coming to New York or Chicago. But in Greeley even, they get weirdo phone calls like, can you send a policeman to look at this, please? And the funniest ones are stripped of their identifiers and then published in the Greeley Tribune. I'm giving my wife the finger here. Look at that. Ooh.
You want another one or one's enough?
One's enough. One's fine.
Oh, look at he's holding on the end of the O on the 8. Look.
Look at how the slots are.
Oh.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, Look at them all. I guess the other ones have got jealous of the new ones. We have 6 of them on the wall, which means 2 of them are the old sloths.
Yeah. Well, we did get some recent sloths. The old sloths don't climb at all.
There's 4 of the new ones, but then there's 6 on the wall, which means that if there's 6 on the wall and we have 4...
We can try him again if you want.
You go
all right, here we go. One more sloth in honor of Bernie, and then we're going to be doing Greeley Times and our Limerick. Here comes Sloth!
Whoa! I bet, hold on, let me get them. You might have more luck.
Well, the old ones aren't, oh, you mean the ones
No, I do them from too far.
I do love to see my wife down on all fours. But anywho, Greeley Times, oh my God. Oh, yeah. All right, that's... There we go.
Try to throw the sloths without unbalancing the chicken.
You know, I haven't had this many cocks on my head. So, well, anywho, here we go. Here's this guy's going to be a problem. I think already we can tell that this fella's going to have some problems. There's no way I'm going to be able to throw him without... All right, we'll try. As Bernie says, you have to try it.
Whoa! You did it! Look.
It worked. I stayed?
Yes.
I'm afraid to turn my head. Here's another sloth. Go, Slothy! Oh. Yeah, these are losing their mojo. Oh.
He's sitting on his desk.
Oh, one just moved. Oh! Oh, dear. No, it's not. These aren't. Oh, no, this guy's not going to happen. I can tell you right now. But I did keep the chickens on my head. Yes, indeed. Yes, you are, for whatever reason, you're still watching Dave's Gone By. It's time for Greeley Times. Ladies and gentlemen, so here's a phone call that came in to the police department. It's from 4th Avenue. I've got to get my chicken phone. A caller on 4th Avenue said that someone tried to steal his bike. The person didn't get his bike, but made off with his shoes. Oh, well, yeah, I don't get the schwinn.
Play the trombone.
Yeah. Nowadays, if it was...
Play the trombone.
Well,
That's the deficit. You know, like you wanted a bike. And shoes are important, but you can buy flip-flops for 99 cents.
I know, well, not necessarily. If it's women's shoes, it might be more expensive than the bike. Yeah. You get like, a $150 pair of Nayot. Wow. All right. So, yeah, so this, again, is a true phone call. Oh, another one. Let me do another chicken. A caller at an apartment complex on 8th Street said that a heavy-set, bald man was sitting in his truck all day and night, watching everyone, unquote. The caller said he had been sitting there 12-plus hours and was making residents feel uneasy.
Maybe he's dead. How do you sit for 12 hours?
In a car.
No, you can't.
It's
impossible.
Well, if you have
yeah.
And let me ask you, how does this resident look out the window? It's like for 12 straight hours. Like,
wow, look at the cluster of the 3 sloths.
Oh, look at them.
Well,
Yeah.
they made goo-goo all over the 8. It's got gooey streaks, look.
Oh, that might be my phlegm, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it could be. We have a caller. Oh, we grab one of the poo phones. Yeah, no. A caller on 14th Street said that a man on a motorized scooter was zooming up and down the sidewalks. The caller yelled at the man, and he flipped the caller off and kept going. It was like, it's one thing about a motorcycle person, like, rah, rah, rah.
Like DoorDash has gotten pretty desperate. I'm like, I can't stop now.
There's a guy on a scooter being like, rah, rah, born to be a douchebag, doom, 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 going down the street on my little scooter. Another call. I'll get the half phone. Hello. Oh, honey, this is not just a call. It's an alert. It's not a chicken alert.
Okay.
But it is, I love these, it's an awe alert. This means that it's a story, when you read it, when you hear it, makes you go, oh. Yes. So this is an awe alert.
Stop it, David, stop it.
I can't, no, it doesn't stop. It doesn't. There we go. It plays twice, and then it ends. So here's an awe alert. This was 6 o'clock at night. A caller at a park on 50th Avenue reported a goose that was frozen to the ice on the park's pond.
What'd they do?
There's no follow-up.
Then that's horrible.
Yes, it is kind of. Well, all right, this isn't all like, oh.
The chicken. Chickens don't like that.
No, they certainly don't. I was like, would a goose get frozen on the ice, though? Could that happen?
If they were sleeping, maybe, and the ice melted and then it got cold again, yeah.
Oh, no. Oh well. I don't have a joke for that. It's just an awe alert. Of,
You
I hope
probably go there and cook it.
Oh, I would, yeah.
How's your tomato mug working?
Oh, I love it.
I made it very sweet, David. I made it very sweet.
Yeah,
for you.
my wife was kind enough to make tea for me
got
because I'm
honey and
still
sugar,
under the weather. But I'm actually not.
Oh, just to clear your
I
throat.
just have the Qatar, if you will. And I've tried to learn Qatar many times, and I can't get past the first 4 chords. Well, the vocal chords. But anyway, do we have another story? Do we have honey, we have another alert. This is something that I'm calling an all-time classic alert. Because sometimes, we get a lot of funny things. We read these from the Greeley Tribune. But some of these ones that come in are, at least to me, all-time great immediately. And here's one of them. A caller on 5th Street reporting a pit bull with a possible injury to his testicles. Police had been to the address previously, and the owners were getting the dog medical treatment. So,
How would you notice that? You have to be pretty close. I mean,
well, instead of the dog going, arf, arf, he's going, help,
no,
help.
you would see it. Wouldn't you see, like,
He's like licking himself
Get the
obsessively.
light underneath so we don't lose the battery, David. I don't want to.
What light? What are you talking about?
Your finger thing fell off.
Oh.
And it's on the floor. I don't want to lose the
Yeah.
battery.
All right, hold on. There's the thing. Give me a sec.
Oh, I'm looking for my teeth, honey.
Here, it's off. Okay.
You know how the pit bull was acting?
How? Wait, I gotta get. Well, let's face it. Most pit bulls are nuts.
That's very bizarre to me.
Yes, it is. That's the point of Greeley Times and Coplog in the Greeley Tribune. Which, by the way, thank you to Chris Bolin, who was the person curating that article, that weekly article in the Trib where we
Or
get
as
these.
we like to call making copies.
No, but I mean, a pit bull with a possible injury to his testicles. Maybe he hated pit bulls so much that he called the police. Yeah, there's a pit bull here with a possible injury to his testicles, and then goes over and kicks the pit bull on the testicles. It's like, I like to call it back. Yes, it's a definite injury to the testicles. A caller. Oh, another caller. Let's go back to the chicken phone. A caller at 17th and 7th. Ooh. Reported 2 men in white checkered suits. One man approached the caller's neighbor and pointed a gun at him.
Oh, God.
Oh, I guess I must have a checkered history. A caller at, the candle phone. All right, a caller at a fast food restaurant on 10th Street said a long-haired man was smoking weed in the bathroom and it was making people uncomfortable. And I just wrote, if it was Taco Bell, I guess it'd be more efficient if they were selling weed at the counter and eating in the bathroom. Oh, I know. Oh, no, wait, no. We have an elsewhere. It's time to go elsewhere. In fact, we have a couple of elsewhere stories. What this means is, although these stories all come from the Greeley Tribune, we do take a couple of minutes in our Greeley Times segment to get a story that has nothing to do with Colorado, is from the world at large. It's more crazy, odd, ridiculous news. And it can be from anywhere else in the world. For example, we go to Nineveh, New York. And this was reported on the website Syracuse.com. 2 upstate New York brothers have been arrested because one had child pornography and the other and the other sexually abused a cow.
What?
Yeah. On April 4th, troopers arrested Christopher Banks, age 37, of Nineveh, after using a search warrant to find images consistent with child exploitation. While investigating him, troopers make a discovery about his brother. Mark Banks had been employed at a dairy farm in Colesville and sexually abused a cow. Back in the day, they would have burned him at the stake.
I don't understand that.
No. I guess the cow made him horny. Huh? No? That was utterly impossible. All right, I'm not going to milk it anymore, but, how do you... Can you really sexually abuse a cow? I mean, it's so much bigger.
I don't understand the process.
If anything, the things they have to do to a cow to get...
in Scotland?
No, that was in Nineveh, New York, near Syracuse.
Great.
No, but it occurs to me that a cow probably feels more when a farmer is inseminating him intentionally, inseminating the cow, or when it's having a calf and the farmer's helping pull the calf, than it can when some poor schlep is standing behind it, giving him a little bit of the old 1-2, 1-2. I mean, it's wrong. It doesn't appeal to me. A sheep would, but I don't know. Anyway, we have another elsewhere. Speaking of sex, we have an elsewhere from down under, ladies and gentlemen, quite literally down under. This was reported in the New York Daily News this week, so I wanted to share this with you. This story was actually posted on Tuesday. Annie Knight, a performer on the sex-related website OnlyFans, was, quote, shocked by how easy it was to do what? What do you think, babe? What do you think Annie Knight's great feat was on this website? She slept with, quote unquote, she had relations with, can you take a guess? 583 men in just 6 hours, which she did last Sunday. The 28-year-old Aussie influencer, who boasts about 195,000 followers on Instagram, and went well over 200, by the way, after the event, told Us Weekly that, quote, 583 in a day is quite a lot. So she was, quote, a little worried. The most I'd done was 24 in a day before that, but it was honestly fine. They all wore condoms, and I had a bunch of them message me later and say, thank you so much. I was number 206 or whatever, and so grateful for the opportunity. And hey, she posted it, people watched, however they paid money, etc. Knight scoffed at the uptight critics, her word, and said that those who disapprove of her lifestyle are either jealous or lead really boring lives, and it's fine. Okay, so that was the headline, that was the story on Tuesday in the New York Daily News. On Thursday, the Daily News published a follow-up story. This was the headline: OnlyFans star Annie Knight hospitalized after sex with 583 men in 6 hours. Sharing photos and videos from her hospital bed, Knight wrote, quote, I guess 583 guys in a day isn't good for your body. She admitted that she had endometriosis and isn't doing very well, unquote. And she said that even though she felt fine the day before, she felt fine before the event, during the event, and after the event, but now her body is in pain and bleeding, and it's telling her, hey, high cortisol can't function. That said, when she gets out of the hospital, she's going right to the dream home that she bought, thanks to 583 guys moving into her dream hole. And by the way, Annie Knight is not the only one using her gash as a garage. The Daily News notes that in January, Bonnie Blue banged 1,057 men in 12 hours, which came all over Lisa Sparks' record of 919 men in 24 hours. I don't even know what you call it. It's like wham, bam. It's not even time for the thank you, ma'am part. And it's like, well, I certainly hope, Annie Knight doing her bit for the men of America. Hope she feels better. And next time, I believe I was raised with the idea of moderation in all things. You don't cut out things, you don't give up things completely, but you don't overdo, right? It's the Talmudic Jewish thing of like, things in moderation will be fine. So Annie, next time you're feeling a little bit randy, stop at $4.99. You don't have to go all the way up to $5. Get the $4.99 in, and instead of doing them in 6 hours, moderate. Place them in shifts over a 9-hour thing. Take a break or take a shower now and again. Have a cup of tea. Have some crackers, maybe do some Kegel exercise, whatever it takes. Anywho, I'm glad there are people pushing the envelope, or whatever you want to call it, like that. But Jesus Christ. Anywho, let's get back to some regular Greeley Times, ladies and gentlemen, from the cop log of the Greeley Tribune. Oh, another call. A caller at a church on 25th Avenue reported a man that the church has had issues with peeing on the building. Well, he returned. Oh, I guess he succumbed to peer pressure. Thank you very much. A caller at an unknown address. We don't know where he is. Potato, is he with you? No. Oh, Pooh, is he with you? No. Frog. Oh, Piggy. Do you know where this caller's from? No. This is what all the men were doing with Annie Knight. But a caller at an unknown address said he had called a few minutes ago, but refused to say anything more. This is what police have to. This is what dispatchers deal with. So he said, "Hey, I called a little while ago. Yeah. So why did you call?" And then he hung up. You have to wonder about, people have to field calls like this day after day after day. All right, here's what we'll do, one or two more. And then we'll move on to another segment or two or three. A caller. Here we go. A caller. Where are you? At Highway 34.
Oh wow, that's pretty vague.
It's like somewhere at Highway 34.
Highway 66, buddy.
Reported a man waving a nail gun and pointing it at vehicles. I don't know, if he was carrying a nail gun, I can only imagine that he was hammered.
Oh.
And maybe he was hosting a radio show at the time, at which point he was MC hammered. Little Anton Chigurh humor there. One more. A caller at a fast food. Oh, fast food. Here's Sloth Phone. A fast food restaurant on 11th Avenue. It's like a man carrying a broken bow and arrow threatened an employee. Then he walked down the street and pulled his pants down. This day and age with Elon Musk firing people, even Cupid has fallen on terrible hard times, I've got to tell you.
He's working hard. Cupid's trying.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Greeley Times on Dave's Come By.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool.
No, he was not.
I'm sure that you agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool. Yippee-yi, 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 yi-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
Hello, my friends. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, you're watching the 985th episode of the Dave's Gone By program live on this Saturday, May 24th, 2025. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. I don't even think
Do you want to do some exercise for your fingers?
I think I better, yeah. Because I'm out of shape. This is why I'm getting these colds and bronchitis.
You got to do something.
So my wife is getting a trampoline for me.
Oh,
Oh, and the finger cots for, what's that? Oh.
another light. Okay, which finger? Put on it.
Let me do my left index. That's a good one.
You got to do two. Okay, which is the other one? Okay.
I'll be like, what's her name? Jennifer Beals.
Yeah. You could put your toe on it too.
Oh, I could.
Oh, wait, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to give you music. Wait, okay, ready?
Here we go. Uh-oh. Oh, dear. There was a terrible accident, but that was fun. This is how do people amuse themselves? This is how. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Dave's Gone By with me, David Lefkowitz, my wonderful wife, and all of you watching at home. So, we still have some more stuff to do. I do want to tell you about the show that I saw when I was in New York 2 weeks ago. A show that won the Pulitzer Prize for Drama this year. It's called Purpose. Plus, we'll have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, where we are going, I think it's to Buchanan? Yes, Buchanan, Colorado. So we'll have a terrible poem about it, and I'll tell you about the town too. We'll have what is this here? If there's time, we'll even have story time, just to remind people that as much as sloths are cute, this is a show about potatoes who love tomatoes. So we have our Alien Tomato book and more stuff to talk about, including this. We were because we have windy weather here sometimes. So last week I was dealing with the garbage. The garbage men had come and gone, and they sometimes make a little bit of a mess. It's interesting how garbage people who are taking away refuse end up making a mess and leaving it behind. Little one. So there's a couple of papers that were scattered on the ground and things. So I threw away a couple of bits of trash. And then I noticed that there were some sheets of paper that were presumably, I hope, drawn by a child. 4 classes, part of workbooks and things, including math problems and math things that the kid was working on, and some other stuff. And then one of the pages, and I did save this one for you, makes me have all kinds of questions about this child and his family. So this is apropos of nothing. This I found near our garbage can outside on the street. Here it is. It's a lovely little a drawing of a man by this child, presumably the kid's father. How do we know this? Because if you can read the writing here, I like Big Daddy's eating balls. Or at least this is what, on first impression, I think this reads as. And here's a picture of a father with a nice cap. Even though the father kind of looks all of 12 years old. Cool, he's got this, nicely buttoned. He does a shirt and collar very, very nicely. Pants look good. He's got some kind of foot. Probably going to need to go to a podiatrist to get that foot turned the other way. And then a normal arm, like short sleeve shirt, nice arm, hand with a glove on it. Only 2 fingers. Must have had some sort of, not polio. What took people's fingers when they were...
Seen that. I don't know what kind of disease.
Thalidomide kids or something. But okay. And then there's the father's other arm, which is super, super long, God bless him, like a third leg, really, ending in a kind of penile opening there. And this child is drawing a picture of his dad with a giant monster penis and saying, I like Big Daddy's eating balls. It was only after studying this great work of art for a while that I'm trying to suss out what's really going on. First of all, if you follow the enormous schlong arm all the way down, it's actually really more of a hand holding some kind of gun, shooting this object, and what it really could kind of be, and if you see the words here, pew, pew. So what's happening, I now realize, is that the father is probably playing paintball or Nerf gun ball with the kid. So the father's like, aha, so here's the dad, here's the kid, long arm, he's shooting his little gun.
I'm not getting sound.
Really? Who, Marie? I can't. And then when you look at this again, it's kind of like, I like Big Daddies. And now what I realize is the kid may be a dyslexic. I'm not joking. Probably a dyslexic kid. So the word that he wanted, I think, was painting balls. Because that would make sense. He's got the paint gun. He's shooting a paintball. It's going pew, pew. And then, so instead of writing painting, the kid wrote P-A-I-T, I don't know, patching, but it looks like, you tell me if that doesn't look like eating balls. Okay, so my initial wariness and fear over seeing this particular magnificent image is a little bit assuaged by the child not being a sociopath and being essentially psychotic, but maybe just having a little bit of dyslexia or being not really paying attention to what he's doing, or old enough to really know how to write the word painting. I hope it's the latter. Well, no, I don't hope the kid has dyslexia, but on some level, I prefer dyslexia over some other explanations over his father's eating balls. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Anywho, it's 11 o'clock. You're watching Dave's Gone By. What else do I want to talk about before there's things I want to talk about? I can mention that, and I was going to talk about this last week, we never got to mention it, that where we were, here it is, 2 Saturdays ago, or maybe it was 3, my wife and I and our friend Nihal, our beloved friend, decided to do something to make old Dave very, very happy. And this does sort of go back to the story about the man sexually abusing the cow, but not in such a terrible level. Because a couple of weeks ago in Maryland, it was the 52nd annual Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. And people who've known me for years and years and years know that I joke about having a sexual predilection for sheep.
Right? You want the pictures?
Yes, I want the pictures. I absolutely want the pictures.
I'm telling Marie to look for that I see the picture in the lower, like the little, it looks like a megaphone in the lower right.
Yeah, see if it has an X over it, you're not going to get sound.
Yeah, because sometimes it's not, unless you move around over it, you're not going to see it, so I'm trying to help her.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
what are we looking for?
when I found out about this, I think I even mentioned it on the show a month and a half ago.
Did you move the sheep festival off?
No, I haven't touched it.
Oh, wait, do we have the video?
Well, the video, yes!
Oh, so the video's in my email. You want to see the video?
Yeah, because I want to hear it. It's more important to hear the video.
Okay, we got 2 issues.
What?
The pictures are here.
Okay. I'll show the pictures. I'll hang to the phone back and then we can...
Why don't you show the pictures, look at the pictures, and then I'll get the video up after. I got to get it from my... Neil texted it.
So, the thing is, it had been raining all week, like it had been raining most of this week. So, it's held in this giant field. This is campground, or fairground, really, in Howard County, Maryland. And it was done back on May 3rd and 4th. We went to the second day. We went to the Sunday, second day of the festival, which was really for farmers and ranchers to display, sell.
But they had lamb burger. You ate lamb burger.
I did.
A lot of wool, like if you like all the stuff we see on that Maker's Mark, you know.
Yeah.
Not Maker's Mark, on the
Maker Market.
Show
Yeah.
Make for market, like all those folks would go gaga over all the yarn, all the.
Well, the whole thing is
tools,
there was sheep, soap and sheep milk.
Everybody asked me, they're like, when I told my friends we were going, they're like, "Are you a knitter?" I'm like, "No."
No.
Oh, I should show the bee. He's downstairs.
Oh, well, if you go down, we'll come up and show the bee. But yeah, basically, it's a way either to show off to get prizes for the best best groomed, best looking, most purebred.
Competitions, though. We just saw the kids with the sheep.
True. Well, we saw 4-H kind of things.
I'll show that video in a second.
Yeah. Well, let me show some of the pictures. So we're crexing through because a lot of it was in field, and it's a soppy field. But we get to these places where barns, several big barns, were just full of beautiful sheep and lambs of all different breeds and all different stripes and groomings and this, and it was heaven for me. This is me making believe I'm trapped like a poor little sheep in one of their pens there. This is one of the outdoor pens. Yeah. Here's an example of just people lined up watching sheep. This was, I don't know if it was an auction or if they were just showing things off.
That's the 4-H.
Oh, this was the 4-H. You okay?
I'll show you the sound one later.
All right, hold on. So, and also, they had craftspeople, and they had people making cute little things like, my wife got this adorable
My
little...
friend bought it for me. I love him. The little sad man loves him.
He's a sad...
He's Justin
no, he's not a
Bieber.
sad... He looks sad this way.
Yes, he's Justin Bieber.
Aw. But if you hold him this way, it looks like he's smiling and happy.
Yeah, he's adorable.
So-
I think he's meant to hold yarn because he's got little safety pins. I think he's supposed to hold yarn and help people do stuff like when they're sewing. But
Oh, because we were wondering if it was a keychain.
no, here.
Yeah, I tried wearing it as a cock ring.
Do me a
Did not
favor,
work
Dave.
out.
Show the pictures and I'll show you.
All right, yeah,
I'll show
okay.
you the video.
All right, here we go. Wait, where's this upside down? This is the right side up. Here we go. So here's more pictures of, like, well, this 4-H thing. This should tell you everything you need to know about me. Should have put my head a little bit more into the hole. That's what he said. Let's see. This was, yeah. I never did quite investigate what this was, but it was CDR fingering. That was one of the booths. This is the woman. So they had...
I don't know where you did with the paper. We had the paper about the sheep insemination and stuff.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
Well, here's a woman who's not inseminating a sheep. This is shearing. This is a very, not large, a kind of butch lesbian woman who she is wrangling like a 200-pound sheep. She grabs it from behind like a wrestler to get it down to shear. Now, shearing is not painful. And in fact, once the sheep do it, it was quite warm that day, they feel so much better because they're not walking around with giant wool coats on them. Mm-hmm. But to watch her just throwing this sheep around and wrestling with it.
Well, and then was screaming. And then I asked her, and she said, because they don't like to be touched. And I'm like, well, you're shearing the fur off them. I wouldn't like that either.
Yeah, and this is what they do after they're sheared so that they don't get too
video.
cold.
I'll show you the video.
Yeah. And meanwhile, it's like when we pass all these sheep, like, are in these things with hats too, and they look like clan sheep.
Oh, you have that one?
I don't know if I have a picture of that.
Keep going, you'll see it.
This is a lovely, I love this image. You can sort of see it here.
Is you in the sheep tent?
No, this is the one with the two heads.
Oh, yeah, they were together. That one, I couldn't believe I got that shot.
They're just kind of sleeping like that, and yeah, it's beautiful. More sheep. Me with sheep. 100% Jacob sheep. That's an important thing.
They were biblical from the Bible. They're supposed to be from the old, somewhere.
So the and
But
for those who still think that I somehow prize sloths over potatoes,
well, let's see.
there we go. I mean, yeah, okay, now. That's hilarious, isn't it, Daddy?
Oh,
Yeah,
that
laugh!
But it was delicious. I had the best fake potato there. It was a tofu baked
Fake-
potato, remember?
tofu.
Well, you guys had your lamb stuff. It was delish.
Speaking of lamb, look how cute. Look how cute.
Oh.
And I know it's 2025, and it is not politically correct to endorse blackface on the show.
No, that's the one that the lady had. That hers were very content. She said you get the line of the sheep. It's only 25% purebred, and then they have to make them with. She gave a whole story. She was the best ambassador.
Oh,
for
she was.
sheep.
Yeah, I was worried because when we got there, she was so informative, but she wouldn't stop. I was like, "We want to walk around the fair, please. Like, stop telling us everything we don't need to know about sheep."
I
she was great. She really knew.
Well, I asked her because some of the sheep looked like they were in distress, and then I asked her to go. I thought she was for the whole tent. I didn't know she was just for her sheep. And then she said, no, it's because they come from another environment and they're not used to the humidity, so they're having trouble.
Yeah, they have fans and some of the things.
Yeah.
And I tried to get one of the sheep into this dress, but he wouldn't wear it. So I wore the dress, and then I sexually molested him. And I actually posted this photo last week. This was at the Sheep and Wool Festival. They literally call it Hop and Cluck Lane.
I love that.
Can't get better than that.
Let me give you the video for the.
So we do have a little bit of video footage from the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. I also got this.
So I'm going to go into the email. Don't show Nihal's email though.
Oh, well, all right. Yeah, no. Just open that up.
You just want the.
Oh, honey, look what's coming in November. The Maryland Alpaca and Fleece Festival. Oh my! And the same fairgrounds.
Okay, so look, you can show the one of us. This is the only one of us.
You get the suitcase and alpaca.
Okay, here you go. Wait, sorry.
Wait, okay. This is.
We shouldn't get the sound first.
What you may not realize about sheep and lambs, because they look so cute and they make a little is if you have like dozens of these in one place, it's like loud, scary zombie noises.
We learned that that's how they communicate.
I know, but could you imagine being a farmer?
Want to see did they show the baby?
Oh, yeah.
Let me find a better one.
But I can just see being on a farm where you've got a ton of these sheep, and you figure, oh, it's bucolic, it's sweet, gentle. You hear little birdies in the trees, a tractor from far away for an hour or so, and then what's really happening is you're just hearing ma 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 all day.
The kids said they were hungry. That's what they said.
I wonder.
Marie got her sound going.
But Nihal took a great picture. These are those two that just went nose to nose and face to face, kind of like dogs. When dogs sleep with each other in the bed, they just curl up on each other. I love that.
She has a very good phone,
Yeah. Oh, here's Ku Klux Klan sheep. There he is, and yet he happens to be a black-ish sheep. Look at the face.
I think they cover them because, like, some of them came from warmer climates. They were cold. Remember that she.
Oh yeah, and when they sheared them, yeah. But look at him. Look at him. It was like Black Klansman there. It's like I like white sheep only. Yeah,
Did
sure.
you talk about the Broadway stuff? I can't remember.
Not yet. Not. So I've got Inside Broadway to do.
So I'll get out the way.
You can see the show. So I've got that to do. We've also got our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, and if there's time, we'll do story time with the story Alien Tomato. But I did want to talk about that event, because one of the things we do when we go on this program is talk about what happened to us over the past week or two or thing. We actually did stuff,
We want to talk about the farmers market. They had no power.
Did you,
I don't recall.
No, I didn't mention it at all. But I mentioned that the reason that we weren't on the air last Saturday was that we were out of, the hurricane wind blew through. A tornado was in the area, and just knocked out.
Let's see if they have power now. What's the name of the coffee place up there?
What was it
It
called?
was Misty Farm or something.
Yes.
But I don't know the name of the
I don't know the coffee place, but
what's the coffee place near Misty Farms? Not Avery, no, I don't know.
But the next day, like the day after we got power back, and we were fine here. My wife and I, let's go. There's a farmer's market. Let's check out a Sunday morning farmer's market locally to go do something in this town or near this town. So let's go. Let's do it. We get in the car. We drive, I don't know, only about 5, 6, 7 miles away to a local farmer's market where they have a coffee shop. There's a little restaurant there, a little something to do. And We get there, and first thing is like, oh, there's signs everywhere saying, sorry, coffee shop is closed because we're still out of power. Because this has been well over 72 hours since the blackout on Friday afternoon, or just 48 to 72 hours. And then the restaurant had the same sign, so they couldn't do anything. The windows were open just to get air, and they did have the farmer's market with stalls, and they were selling some vegetables. It wasn't any great shakes.
I think it's called John Brown, let's see.
It was a farmer's market.
John Brown Coffee near Misty Farms.
They did have a very cool outhouse that I didn't use, but that I wanted to pose next to. Oh, they're back open? Mm-hmm. Well, then again, they didn't say they were closed when they were closed. That's why we drove there.
The coffee place was closed, let's see.
But, yeah. And literally, while we were there, the crews from, I guess, BGE and Verizon or whoever were working to restore power still. Because you could see there were trees down, logs and branches everywhere. So it was a thing. But we did get to go to this little farmer's market. I think we bought like an overpriced cucumber and some strawberries that we ended up eating a couple. They were good,
Yeah.
but then we didn't finish them. And
Because we didn't eat, there's only two of us, that's the problem. A lot of this stuff is good if you have like 4 or 5 people.
and you eat them in a
But
day
if,
or
yeah,
two.
if you have only 1 or 2, you can't possibly. We got watermelon that was good, but I don't know if we got that.
We got that? No, that we got at the store. I think
It was good, yeah.
Yeah, but no, we kind of bought. It's just it does bother me when you go to a farmer's market and they don't have rent, right? And they don't have to pay utilities per se, and the prices are just as expensive as you would get in, a medium end or high end supermarket. It's like, yeah, I assume your stuff is higher quality produce, but supermarkets getting their produce from farms too. Like when my wife and I lived in Colorado, we would go to these farmers markets, and then we would go to the local supermarket, and they were dealing with the same farms. And it's like, so it isn't that big a difference. I might as well buy them at the supermarket. I don't have to schlep with a paper bag, go to a place and pay the same prices or sometimes even more to some farm stand somewhere. So it bugs me a little bit, as things do. Oh, that was the one other thing I wanted to mention about the farmers, about the sheep festival. They certainly sold, or were out there selling tons of wool, as you might expect. Wool and yarn and skeins and all of this. Wool just isn't that soft.
Oh, maybe they were cheap wool, yeah.
Even some things that said they were cashmere. I was like, I don't know about this. I'm like, here I am, it's this festival, and all these things are made of this sheep wool, and the wool's coming off. If you touch a sheep, it's not soft and silky.
The sheep.
Huh? We did. But like when we used to pet our dogs, particularly our red dachshund when he was young, that was, oh my God, that was like petting velvet. It was the softest thing ever. And I have been decades since I petted a bunny or a chinchilla. You put your fingers through that, it's like, You touch a sheep, it's like, oh, it's like a shag carpet from the 1970s. Plus it's got wood chips and dirt and grime and the sheep's own shit in it. And you just want to go for a shower after you touch a sheep. And they turn this into wool, from which they make Irish sweaters and stuff. And it's like, you know what? Not my favorite garment. Not my favorite fabric to make things out of. Plus, a lot of these things that they make out of wool,
honey.
They got the weave, it's got the holes in it, so it gets caught on things really easily. I gotta say, I'm not the hugest wool fan. Okay. Where?
Wait.
New Jersey!
I was trying to show you that. Mm-hmm. Where?
Oh, today!
Yeah.
I thought it would be tomorrow.
Where else is it going?
Because it's Memorial Day.
Yeah, but it's around the area. It's probably going through the area. Let me track the truck.
Honey, on Monday,
Yeah.
Cole Nihal
Yeah.
is going to be in Washington, D.C.
Oh, we gotta go.
Honey.
We gotta go. David, we gotta go. We gotta go.
It's me. I got a whole potato truck.
We have to go.
I'm not kidding. I know you're kidding, but I'm not kidding.
No,
we have to see this.
I'm
It's in Morris Plains, New Jersey today, or was this morning.
Yes, let's see.
It's a
Where do you
truck.
see it? Oh.
that is carrying around this enormous potato that's the length of a football field. Well, or not quite, but, and then they just bring it to bring attention to potatoes. And it's going to be...
How does it relate to people sacrificing their lives in war? A gigantic potato.
What did soldiers eat?
I don't know.
Well, hardtack, cream chip beef on toast, spam.
This in real? Okay, hold on. I'm going to try to find this.
Please.
Dates for the Big Idaho Potato Tour. Because I got a tour schedule. I want to send it to our friend. Okay, request an appearance. Okay. They're going to be in the memorial parade.
Oh, it's not going to be just...
No.
Oh, I don't want to see parade.
It's going to be in Delaware on the 28th.
That's close.
Mm-hmm.
Are they coming to Maryland anywhere?
It's going to be, on June 27th. Why don't we go? It's going to be in Oneonta, New York.
Well, that's, yeah.
Anything in, Shelley Spud Days in Idaho. Wow. You can request an appearance.
I will!
I'm going to request here.
They can bring them to the fairgrounds.
Request an appearance. I'm serious.
I'm not kidding. I know.
I know that.
I mean, really, if I drove, I would drive down to Washington, D.C., but I don't want to be part of a big old
not parade.
Memorial Day parade.
It's just going to be a parade. It's not going to be an exhibition.
Well, no, it's a truck. It's a truck with a potato on it.
I know.
It's just going to be one of the things in a
Yeah,
parade.
I know.
Otherwise, it would just be, there's a truck with a potato on it, and then you leave. So there's actually a lot more to see in a parade.
That's true. No, that's true.
I love a parade.
If we were back in Colorado, you could have got it for Potato Day.
What we can do is we can call our friends and see if they can go and take pictures.
No, I think we just look online after. Give me the phone. I got to try.
Well, I can always look online at the website.
I hope Marie got her thing back. I can't tell.
Marie, I hope you're listening to this because you don't want to miss all this glorious vocal
Oh,
content.
it's so cute.
Wow. Oh, and that's one of the reasons also that I do the show. Everything sucks. Everything in the world sucks. Politics sucks. War sucks. Health sucks. Family stuff. Banks suck. Everything sucks. But you have things like this. A giant paper mache potato on a truck.
We'll eat and then we'll go to the bank, eh?
Yeah. Oh, right. And then you have sheep that are there not to be sexually molested, but just to be admired in a big fairgrounds. Sometimes, you get on this program and you remind people that life really does suck, but life is beautiful too. Oh, I can have this. There we go.
What?
I can have the thing in all the way. That's what he said.
You got excited.
I did get excited, Megan. Oh, that's better.
Maybe when you were screaming.
The plug I can push in all the way. So now because this thing was running on battery, and I'm like, why is it getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer? That's why.
There you go.
But we're here, and we're doing the Dave's Gone By show. So, more to talk about. Oh, I do want to talk, you know what? Yes, I'll get to purpose, and I'll get to the story. But one more thing. Shall I talk about envelopes or the toaster? I can save one for next couple of weeks.
Whatever you want.
Envelopes or the toaster? I'm going to talk about envelopes because I had a moment, a 61-year-old moment, a few days ago, and it involves envelopes. So we mail more. We're using more postage stamps now and checks and envelopes to mail things than we have my wife and I in the past 15, 20 years. We've been paying all our bills online, everybody emails, but now because of the shit we're dealing with, we're writing out envelopes again with return address labels and 60 fucking cent postage stamps just to mail something. It's like, okay, fine. And so I'm running low on envelopes. I look in the closet because I always had this little stash of number 10 white envelopes in the closet. I always reach for one, and I always realize, we're going to run low for months, and then suddenly it's like, we're running low. So I go and I say, I better get some envelopes to mail stuff. right? Because now we're going to be sending out 3, 4, 5 things, pieces of mail in a month, where I would be doing that not even all year.
Do you have sound on?
Of what,
Listen.
maybe my phone or where?
Yeah, sound.
Sound on what?
There's music.
Oh, maybe maybe the stupid, no.
There's music. Let me hear it. You turned something off. Let me hear it.
It's not coming from my
You
iTunes.
turned it off. You turned it off.
Oh, good. Huh. I wonder. Maybe it was on one of the things we're playing here. Anywho, and I'm reticent because I go, yeah, envelopes. I thought you think you have envelopes everywhere. You think you're going to open a drawer somewhere in the house and it's going to be like envelopes, but sometimes there's not. Sometimes you've used them, or they were in our old house, we threw them away. So I better buy envelopes. So I'm at Staples.
Did you return the printer?
Returning some kind of printer cartridge or doing some other kind of thing. And I was like, well, I guess I should buy envelopes. And I'm there, and I'm looking, and I'm doing that thing of all right, what makes the most sense?
Oh, God.
Do I want to buy a little box of envelopes I used to get in, not the hardware store, but in the 5 and dime kind of store? You get a box of 50 envelopes, etc. Or do I want to buy a box of 100, or do I want to buy a box of 500, where, of course, the per envelope cost is so much lower, right? And even in the store, I had that moment of, Dave, you're 61 years old and living in 2025. You can buy the box of 500 envelopes and save, quote unquote, a bunch of money, because when you buy in bulk like that, the per envelope cost is a couple of cents. As opposed to, if you go and you buy a box in the supermarket of 20 envelopes, it's going to cost you 10 to 15 cents per envelope or more. So to mail something, not only are you paying 60 cents for the postage stamp, and not only are you paying for the paper you're using, the ink, but now you're just mailing anything is now costing you a goddamn buck. Right? So I'm looking at these boxes of envelopes, and I go the middle route because moderation and everything, and I buy the box of 100 instead of 500, even though it's not obviously as economical. Why? Because I had that moment of, I will never live long enough to be sending out 500 envelopes or 400 envelopes ever again. And I know that doesn't mean it, but that is a profound thing. Because when you're in your 20s, when you're in your 30s, and you feel like you're still in your 20s and your 30s, it's I'll get these envelopes now, and I'll always have them. I'll never have to buy envelopes again because I'll always have an envelope. But I'm going to use most of the box.
Yeah, nobody ever thinks that except you. Nobody in the world has ever thought that.
Well, no, back when I was a playwright, and back when I was doing all these things and stuff, I'd be sending out shit. I'd be sending out press releases.
Out 500 envelopes tomorrow.
No, but, I remember buying hundreds of manila envelopes when I was sending out Performing Arts Insider magazine. And I knew I had to send out 100 copies every month, so they just went, right? Or if I'd send out plays, or I'd send out other things, or if I was doing a show and I wanted to send out press releases before necessarily everything was internet and social media only. And it's people still respond when you send them a hard copy thing in the mail or a postcard. They respond in a way that they're not just glancing at a fucking banner ad. So you buy, and they go. But now, world has changed, and also I'm probably within 15 to 30, certainly within 30 years, I'll be dead. And I'm not going to be using 500 envelopes, right? So why am I going to buy them? I'm going to buy 100 envelopes. And it may very well be that, especially with the way we're going through them, we might get through 100 envelopes in 5 years. And then I'll really be stuck, because I'll be standing again at Staples. Maybe I should get the 200 envelope box or the 100 envelope. And at that point, of course, because of inflation, they'll be double what envelopes cost now. But I made that.
You could just will them to somebody, leave them in your will,
I know.
you know?
Well, whom should I will envelopes to?
Somebody would like it.
I mean, you would automatically get them. Do you think you will use?
I'll be dead.
Right. She thinks she'll be dead before I will. It's not
won't
going
be, so
to
you-
not going to happen.
You'll have to will it to somebody.
And I guess I could ask my friends and family. It's like, okay, when I die, how many envelopes would you like?
I think you should leave one envelope to everybody. And have some poor schmuck at the bequest delivering like 2 envelopes, no, 3 envelopes for you, 4 for you.
And have family members be like, he gave me 4
And
envelopes.
leave it to charities, like, different charities get envelopes as well.
Well, why don't you get 20 envelopes? Well, I have 3 kids. But, yeah, I'm going to be making, but that's what happens when you get to a certain age. You start making the decisions, is this going to outlast me? Am I going to buy this much? Because I'm never going to really ever. But now you make me think with all the things that we send out, and if we do send out, let's say, 30 envelopes within the year, because of all the stuff we have to do, will we go through it in 3 years?
Fan letters to him.
And I made a mistake.
I'm going to start sending you some fan mail.
Maybe I should have gone for you should have been with me. Maybe I should have gone for the 500.
I would have been, but you didn't recycle the printer cartridges, so I would.
No, I recycled some. I just didn't recycle that one. Or I had another reason to go to Staples. I forget what it was. But, yeah. So, and it's like also, we bought, or I bought last week, a new toaster. Because toasters nowadays are made out of shit. They're $20 and they don't last. They're garbage. So we bought a toaster when we first moved here, and it lasted about 1.5 years before we had a thing where a crumb got in there somehow. Not something I know how a crumb got in there, and then went on fire.
Fire.
And if you see fire in your toaster, you kind of be like, goodbye toast. Me, I wouldn't. I'd try it again. I'd be like, because you got a fire in the oven all the time. You put out the fire, you put a fire on the stove, have some fire. But in a toaster oven, in a toaster, you don't, it's not something you want to see. You figure somehow it's burning all the parts, and you don't want to start a great conflagration in your kitchen. So we get rid of that toaster, we buy a new cheap toaster, working fine, nice, pretty wide slots for bagels, and then last week or 2 weeks ago, I want to make toast. I get the thing out. I pop the thing down. The thing won't stay down. I pop the thing down. The thing won't stay down. Pop the thing down. It's like men on Viagra, right? So pop the thing, won't stay down, and it still worked. But if I wanted to make toast, I literally had to stand there and hold down the popper. What do they call it? The switch? I don't know. To hold it down. And then it worked. I'm like, this fucking toaster. The toaster was less than 1 year old. And I wish it was a Hamilton Beach. Okay? I'll call them out. Hamilton Beach toaster. And did I take out a warranty on the thing? No, because it's a freaking $20 toaster. But you figure...
Honey, calm down. I'm too excited over the toaster again.
Well, when I was growing up, you know how long a toaster lasted?
I know, because it had asbestos and probably killed people.
If you went near it, you burned your fingers off.
That's why.
Because it was this shiny...
And half the time the Wonder Bread would stick to the toaster, right? You'd have the Wonder Bread stuff.
Oh, yeah, it was a metal hot box. But you know what? You
get 3rd-degree burns, but hey, forever.
You approached with caution.
Yes.
You popped the thing up, you took the thing out, and it made toast. And it made toast in 1965, and it was making the same toast in 1975, 1985. For all I know, my mom still has the same toast. I mean, we haven't used it. She used a toaster oven. But, this toaster, which she probably paid $7 for, lasted... and may still be lasting forever. I buy a brand new, good toaster at a place like Kohl's or Home Sense or Home Goods, whatever the hell they call those places. And a few weeks, and we don't even use the toaster every damn day. It's not like we have kids every day. They're making a sandwich, they're having a thing. 2 weeks would go by, we wouldn't use the toaster. I drag it out, excuse me, from the cabinet. I plop it on the counter. I'm like, okay, make toast. And they still can't make a fucking toaster that is appropriate for our needs. Because, and even the one I just bought, the $60 toaster, that has 4 slots, so that for once we can eat at the same time. So that if you put in 4 slices, instead of making bread, and then you wait, it comes out nice and hot, and then you put in 2 slices of bread, and by the time that bread is, no, 4 slices we can eat simultaneously. How nice, right? And they're wide, so we haven't tried it yet, but you can put bagels in, great. But we also get, a lot of the times when we don't make our own, artisan boule bread from our local grocery place called Mom's, right?
They have ones that have longer slots, you just didn't get it.
Yeah, because those are $200 Brayville toasters. They make toasters where the slots are appropriate for artisan bread. So even with this new $60 fucking toaster.
Oh, wait, look, Nomi said, I just checked King Supers and envelopes for a box of 100 or 2 cents a piece. Oh, no.
Of 100.
Yes, of 100.
That's pretty good. I shouldn't have gotten them at Staples. I should have gotten them at the supermarket.
Oh, no.
What?
I think I deleted her comment.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Sorry, Nomi. Sorry.
Nomi, how did I... Nomi, oh, no. How did I do that?
Oh, it's hard to... You have to... Huh.
Ding dong.
It's not like they have a garbage can thing. I don't know why it deletes so easily.
I don't know what I did.
But in order to make a nice long slice of bread, the way they come out in a loaf that you will get when they're making handmade, good local breads is you have to take it, you turn it one side, you do the thing, then you have to wait 2 minutes, and then pop it up so it doesn't burn, then turn it over to get the whole piece of bread toasted. As opposed to, I don't know, make a toaster long enough so that you can put that in this way, you can put a bagel in this way, and use an invention that is 150, 200 years old that they haven't perfected yet? How hard is it? How hard? 4-slice toaster, long enough for all reasonable, normal breads, wide enough for all homemade breads. It's not rocket. This is why people went to toaster ovens in the 1980s. This is why. So they could just take a thing, poke. So sick of this. Anywho.
Broadway stuff.
Yeah, let me get to Inside Broadway, and then we'll do our story time also on our Colorado Limerick and the Dam. Then we'll get to the bank, then we'll go eat. Yeah. So maybe I'll push story time off. I want to do. Yeah.
Well, you could just introduce the book and give people the overview of what book you're going to talk about.
Well, I haven't read it yet, so that's
What are you going to do?
Today is.
Oh, and show the cup because you're top tomato. It says top tomato, right?
It does. So we were going to do this week, but it's already 20 to 12, and my wife and I have errands and crap we have to do today. So let's. I don't think the show is going to be on time, but I do want to make to get through the program. So I'll stop blathering about potatoes and toasters and parades, and move on to high culture. High culture, and this is.
Nomi reposted.
Oh, good. So one thing I have been over the years is a theater critic, and still am, a theater reviewer. Started doing theater criticism in the late 1980s. I was starting to go to theater in the mid-80s when I was back in college. And so still do. And I do most of my reviews now on here. If you want to read my older written reviews from the 80s and the 90s and the aughts, go to totaltheater.com, totaltheater.com. I'm starting to put all those things up, as well as my main writing website, davelefkowitz.org. And there you can read all my theater reviews, as well as my plays, as well as my essays, my comic stories, my lyrics, the songs I've written. So that's all at davelefkowitz.org. But if you're interested in theater, and not just my own reviews, but reviews of what's playing on Broadway and off-Broadway right now, reviews from Wisconsin, Oh, yeah. Just say it. I can't.
Are you going to do the?
Yeah, I'm about to. Yeah, go for it. Reviews from California, reviews from, where else do we have? Florida, getting a lot of wonderful reviews from a guy named Aaron Krause, and David Sheward's reviews of Broadway and Off-Broadway. Go to totaltheater.com. So I've been working on that, but I do most of my reviews on this program, and I did want to talk about a show that I went to see just 2 weeks ago when I was back visiting New York. It's called Purpose, and it's by playwright named Brandon Jaden Jenkins. I can't ever get that name right, and I do apologize. It's Brandon Jacobs Jenkins. Jacobs Jenkins is hyphenated. If I live to 100 years, if he writes 100 plays, and I hope he does, I'll never get his name right. Brandon Jacobs Jenkins is directed by Felicia Rashad, whom, of course, we remember from The Cosby Show as an actress, but has been doing acting on stage and a lot of directing on stage since then. So I'm going to review this new play called Purpose and tell you about things inside Broadway right here on Dave's Gone By in a segment amazingly called Inside Broadway. Inside Broadway, a look at theater in New York, Colorado, and beyond, brought to you by TotalTheater.com and Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway. So yeah, first of all, even before we get to Purpose, I do want to say that since we're doing the Inside Broadway segment that we used to do on this program all the time when I was living in New York for years, it was also part of letting you know Broadway news, because I care about the theater, I still do, and want to keep you posted. Like, everybody knows what movies are out and so forth. Why shouldn't you know what's happening in theater? Well, it was also kind of a sad week because we said goodbye to Charles Strauss, one of the last living people of what we would call still the golden age, the later golden age of Broadway. He passed on Thursday at the age of 96. His first Broadway show was in 1960, and he hit it right out of the box with his lyricist, Lee Adams. It was Bye Bye Birdie, and it won the Tony that year for Best Musical. You know Bye Bye Birdie with Dick Van Dyke and Chita Rivera, and so it's still a fun, it has some issues in a modern context, but still a fun show with some wonderful songs. Put on a Happy Face, for gosh sakes, and Rosie of it. Anywho, they followed that in 1962 when a show called All American was not remotely as big a hit or as well remembered, but it did give us a standard of a beautiful song called Once Upon a Time that is sung in cabarets and by everyone from Tony Bennett to Mandy Patinkin that put that song on their albums because it's beautiful. They also did some other shows. Golden Boy with Sammy Davis Jr. in the 60s, and It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman, which starred a young, not soon to be, but later to be friend of the Daverhood, the late Linda Lavin. One of the more famous shows started off in the 1970s with Len Cariou and Lauren Bacall in Applause. It was again an Adams and Strauss show. That won the Tony for Best Musical. 1977, however, is their pinnacle, at least in terms of popularity, and in terms of craft, too. Gotta give it, of course, to The Sun Will Shine Out. The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow. Annie opened in 1977 a Charles Strauss show with lyrics by our late friend of the Daverhood, Martin Charnin. And of course, that was a game changer and remains a show that is done everywhere, that will probably be revived on Broadway again in 10 years. It's just got that evergreen quality, and it's appropriate for families, but it's also got It's the Hard Knock Life, which was repurposed for a rap song or a hip-hop song a few years ago. Great stuff. Anyway, after that, however, the Charles Strauss canon did not have such good luck. He did a show called Rags that some people are still very passionate and fanatical about, but it was a flop. Nick and Nora, which I saw, which was I think Faith Prince was in that. I'm not 100% sure. And honestly, before I was a theater guy, and this is a true story. This is one of the reasons I do this program. I'm probably still in my early years of college. I should have noted the year of this. But my dad had tickets from someone he knew in the office who worked in the courts in Manhattan to a new musical on Broadway. Free tickets. Fine, sure, great. Maybe they got it from TDF and couldn't use them. So, and it was just in the end, towards the end of previews. So audiences were there, and tickets were probably even cheaper because it wasn't opening night, if they were paid for at all. And it was this musical featuring a score by Alan J. Lerner and Charles Strauss. What's not to love, right? I mean, Alan J. Lerner, My Fair Lady, Alan J. And it was called Dance a Little Closer. And we went to see it. Len Cariou was in it, I remember that. And I was not a theater critic of any stripe at this kind, as I recall. And in 2 or 3 years I would be. And I think I was knowing about theater. I was going to shows at that age, at that stage. It was the mid-'80s. So I've been going all through college. So I started to have a sense of musicals and what went into them and what goes into scripts and storytelling and stuff. So I'm sitting there with my dad at Dance a Little Closer on Broadway, final previews. And we're watching it, and the first number is very catchy and kind of bouncy, and Len Cariou's, this great leading man. And we're watching, and by the end of the first act, I turned to my dad, and I was like, even I, who was before my theater criticism days, I just knew, I was like, no, there's a bad book about people gathering to stop the end of the world. It was, and the songs were mad, and I think Penny Fuller was in it as well. And then by the second act, we kind of knew. And George Rose was in this terrible, and everybody was so excited. It's like Len Cariou, George Rose, Adams, Strauss, and Lerner. It was like, no. And it did end up opening and closing in one night. So I kind of had my taste validated, if you will. The critical pundits who saw it at the time, this is rather famous, saying it shouldn't have been called Dance a Little Closer, it should have been called Close a Little Faster, which it actually did. But anyway, that's my Charles Strauss story. Only other Charles Strauss story is a couple of years ago, I was trying to get him on this show. I couldn't get to him, but his people said no, whatever, no. So it was a no. Oh, well. Strauss also scored Bonnie and Clyde with Adams, the movie. Yes, the Robert Benton classic movie with Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty. The score was done by Strauss with Adams, and they wrote the theme song for All in the Family. Boy, the way Glenn Miller played songs that made the hit. That was Adams and Strauss. So big farewell to Charlie Strauss, who passed away a couple of days ago at the age of 96. Now we can get to the review of Purpose at the Hayes Theater on Broadway, directed by Felicia Rashad, won the Pulitzer Prize just a few weeks ago. So here's the deal. Let me give you a bit of the plot. I'll essentially read what I wrote here. The narrator, and there's quite a bit of narration in the show, but he's a guy named Nazareth, and he's this nice, it's all about a black family. Just get that up there, up front. Nazareth is a nice guy, kind of a loner type, a little bit of an oddball, but totally a decent dude. But he's only happy, really, when he's photographing nature. Not great with people, doesn't really want to engage, not going out with girls or boys. He's just not, But he has made friends with an next-door neighbor of his, a girl named Aziza, and they become close in a friend way. So close, and she realizes that he's such a nice dude that she's the one he wants to be her sperm donor. Because she's queer, she says that in the play, so not quite, the father says she's lesbian, but she says queer, but not into guys, not into that, but she wants to be a mom. So she asks him because she knows he's a decent guy, doesn't even know his background, doesn't know his parents, just like, I'm going to have a good kid if I have one with him. And he he agrees. Baster and all. We don't see that part of the play. This is part of the backstory. But what happened was when they're together, he's on assignment to go take pictures somewhere for a magazine, and they oversleep, and then he's going to be late. He can't get on the plane, so she volunteers to drive him for many, many hours from where they are in Canada back to his Chicago home, but in time for his mother's birthday party. Fine. Okay, great. So they come to his mom's birthday party, and it's already starting to snow a little bit outside. What's more theatrical than everybody gets trapped in one location and they can't go anywhere because that's force people into the pressure cooker thing like Picnic, and there you have it. Anyway, so he comes to the family home, and there's his brother Junior, an older brother of his, who was a rising politician, but he started embezzling some money. He did some prison time, and he might just have some mental problems. He's come to the party with his wife, who did not want to be there at all, does not like the family, does not like the money, the mother, and she has reasons, right? So she's upstairs. She doesn't want to deal with anyone at all. And neither of the two sons, not Nazareth nor Junior, has lived up to the standards of their father, who was this big civil rights icon. He's still alive, but he's this guy who hobnobbed with King and did marches, and they did all the things. It's well known, particularly among black people. And I mean, this is a fictional story, but he was one of the Stokely Carmichael type, Malcolm X type of people, and feted by politicians and known celebrities and all that. So Dad is like way up here, and he had such high hopes for his kids. And he's got one kid who was rising as a politician and then did bad things, and then the other kid who's really, doesn't know what he wants to be, can't even deal with people. So Dad just is like, he's not particularly mean to them, but he's certainly dismissive. It's Mom who holds the family together. Mom with her good cheer of cooking and baking, keeping everything good, and she had a law degree. She's also, as we learn fairly quickly, the tiger mom from hell. Anything that even gently scratches at the family name, she's going to pounce on and make sure she holds the name together, no matter who's trying to take it down. So Aziza doesn't know what the hell she's walking into when she comes into the house. She's and Nazareth, the son, he's like, Aziza, get out of here. I said, you don't want to be part of this. You don't want to be here for Mom's birthday. I'm warning you, please. I can't deal with you. Can't deal with them. But the mom convinces us, oh, we want to meet our son's friend. You have to stay. And since it's horrible weather, and Aziza just drove for like 7 hours, she stays. Mistake. And then it's all about the revelations, the things that come out when they're all holed up together, having meals, and snowballs about Dad's behavior and Mom's maneuvering, and what is Nazareth sexuality, if he has any at all, and what Junior has done, or he's trying to get back on his feet, but there's certain mental things that are going to set him spinning again. Dysfunctional family dramas are not exactly new, but when they're good, they can be foolproof, and this one is terrific. It really is a great, great show, especially because the first act is flat out hilarious. Okay, I don't know if I made it clear. I mentioned that most of this is played very strongly for comedy, and funny it is. This makes August Osage County pale by comparison. I thought that was a good show, but I think quite overrated, certainly in comparison to the family dynamics and the lines and the waiting for the anticipation of how one family member reacts to another and what they say and do. Just, it builds and builds and builds in this wonderful first act. Get all these people around a dinner table, and everything that is said and is not said goes a mile a minute. As a matter of fact, we miss some important revelations at the very end of Act 1 only because the audience is laughing so loudly and relentlessly that it's going over the actor's lines. So we think we hear something, but it's like there's too much going on. All plays should have that problem, right? Okay, Act 2 sometimes drags a bit, and it gets a little monologue heavy. It gets a little bit of, oh, this is Brandon Jacobs Jenkins writing rather than letting the characters speak for themselves. We feel that. And it does go on, this is a play, not a musical. It goes on for 2 hours and 45 minutes. But most of Act 2 still works, and this always helps, it ends really well. It's got a great scene between Nazareth and his dad. Not this big Arthur Millery revelatory. No, it doesn't go for that. It has them having a kind of rapprochement, a certain more than détente, a warming that is funny, and Dad asks a question we don't expect him to ask, but it's the perfect question we have been sort of wondering. And that leads to some very funny stuff, and it's just a terrific end to the play, which always helps, which helps ever. If the second act goes down a little bit, it comes up right to here, almost to the level that it was at the first act by the end of it. Kudos to the playwright, to Brandon Jacobs Jenkins, for keeping the whole thing light and yet deep, and to Felicia Rashad, the director, for finding the tone, just the right tone, for basically every scene. Because it's comic, but it's deep. There's bad things that went on. There's things that these people are guilty of. And it's not sloughed over. But at the same time, it's done in this funny way where we're dreading something happening. There's a Chekhovian thing to, the whole thing of Chekhov's gun. If you bring out a gun in the first act, something better happen with it in the second act. It does. I'm not going to say what. And like all strong comedy, it borders on the verge of tragedy. Almost goes there. We would not be surprised if it didn't, but it's a comedy. Comedy in the great real sense of the word, of not just banana peels and punchlines and laughs, but of delight, and things don't end in a bad way. My only quibble, besides the second act being a little attenuated, is gotta say, I have some issues with Cara Young. She has a major role. She plays Aziza, the friend who drives Nazareth back to the family gathering. She can be wonderful, and she can also be incredibly mannered and mugging. And she can go from one to the other in the same scene. I've seen her do this now in a number of shows, because she's in every other Broadway show now. She was in that revival of Pearly Victorious by Ossie Davis. I was able to watch that, thank you, either PBS or whoever broadcast that, because I didn't get to see it in the theater. And sometimes she was really funny and great, and sometimes it's like, Cara, stop. Stop the weirdness, stop the jiggling and jumping, and it's like, no, she's a fine actress. She was really wonderful in the first show I saw her in, and I don't remember the name of it, but it had to do with a caretaker for this guy who was quadriplegic, or paraplegic, and she was marvelous in that. I'm sure it's a new quantity. I'd never seen her in anything. That was a couple of years back. But everything she's been in since, I think she's been encouraged to kind of just go further and further and start in a very eccentric way chewing the scenery. So there are times she's just right in purpose, and times when she needs to kind of scale back the annoying, you don't need to be doing all of that. The other actors are fine. The mother is great. LaTanya Richardson owns the stage as the mama of the family. She is clear every moment without overdoing or trying to be comic-y sticky. She's as scary as she is naturally funny. John Michael Hill is fine as Naz, the lead guy, the son, even though he gets a lot of monologues in the show, he carries them off. And Glenn Davis is quite memorable as his brother. I would not mind at all if this won the Tony Award for Best Play this year. I haven't seen all the nominees. I haven't seen John Proctor as the villain, or a couple of the others. I have seen Eureka Day. All the shows I've seen, this is, yep, happy if this wins the Tony. It did win the Pulitzer Prize, as I said, and it's just as funny as Oh, Mary, which is a very, very funny farce about Mary Todd Lincoln that is on Broadway. I Have to check. I don't know if that's nominated for Best Play. That is a really funny, campy play that just winds up and goes straight through and is hilarious. This is just as funny and deeper and more realistic, quote-unquote, about family dynamics. Brandon Jacobs Jenkins is a major talent, and I've never seen any of his other plays. He's the guy who wrote Appropriate and Glory and An Octoroon. I can only wonder and hope what more plays this guy has in him. It's, people say, oh, it's racist to call him the next August Wilson. Fine. Call him the next Lanford Wilson, or the next Sam Shepard or Clifford Odets. It remains to be seen. But see this show, 3.5 stars for Purpose at the Hayes Theater on Broadway, written by Brandon Jacobs Jenkins. Big. As Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel would say, big thumbs up from the Daverhood here on Dave's Gone By. With me, Dave Lefkowitz, where it is now noon Eastern Time, and we're not quite finished with the show. We do have a little more to do, as promised, and we're going to get it done. So, ladies and gentlemen, we still have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, and it's going to be about Buchanan, Colorado. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Buchanan, and then read a poem, a sick, tasteless, disgusting poem that I wrote about Buchanan, Colorado, but not before we do another very important part of the show, which is important to me as much as anything else, and that is pay tribute to the friends of the Daverhood. These are people who have been on the show, whether it was, well, where are my songs? Hold on. There we go. Strange. Good morning. That shouldn't have opened up. Let's do, there's Mozart. Okay, much better. A little bit of Mozart to play as we do our friends of the Daverhood, people who have appeared on this show. What are they up to since that appearance? So first of all, of course, gotta remind you and thank our new friend of the neighborhood, Bernie Furshpan. What a great guest. Bernie, his movie is out. I Am Bernie Furshpan.
David, I'm gonna order bagels, okay?
Okay.
You want bacon on?
I'm not 100%. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Bernie Furshpan, his movie, I Am Bernie Furshpan, is about him and learning the story of his father, and I guess his mom too, of how they survived during the Holocaust in Poland. So, check that out. Go to IamBernie.com, or is it IamBernieFirstpan.com? I've gotta write that out again. Sorry.
You just spell his name and search
Yeah,
it.
if you're right. Google Furshpan, F-U-R-S-H-P-A-N, Furshpan.com. And so, by the way, the documentary, we didn't say this, is by Christian Arbesu, and you will have a chance to see it if you're in New York on June 22nd. It's going to be at the Triad Theater. They're having a screening of The Weight of Memory. I'm Bernie Furshpan. So go see that, and certainly look out for the film on streaming services near you in your home in the weeks to come. So other friends of the neighborhood, gotta say fingers crossed and best of luck to playwright Gary Morgenstein. His new play, Dancing on Glass, speaking of Holocaust-related things, got a reading at the Zionist Organization of America back on April 28th, and he has run to be a delegate of the Zionist Organization of America.
Southwest Chipotle Bagel?
Yes. Ran to be a delegate of the ZOA. They're still counting the votes, so they don't know if he won or not, but fingers crossed for Gary Morgenstein. Want to let you know that Woody King Jr., his theater that he put together, the new Federal Theater, just got a special Lucille Lortel Award.
Southwest Chipotle, is that okay? Or?
Yes, Southwest Chipotle toasted. Toasted Dark.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, good. I'm sorry.
they got a Lucille Lortel Award for, what did they get for? Outstanding Body of Work, like a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Lortels that honor off-Broadway excellence. So congratulations to our friend Woody King Jr. Congratulations to Anthony Pomes. Anthony was one of the, oh my God, I'm forgetting the name of the band. Sorry.
Let me know when I should order.
Give it about 10 minutes. It was the Beatles band, the Beatles cover band.
All Shook Up, Yellow Submarine.
Help. They were on the program, mostly Mop Top. See, the brain, mostly Mop Top. They were a guest in the Daverhood back when we were on WGBB. But he was also in the publishing field. Well, he's got a new job. He is Senior Marketing and Publicity Manager at the Globe Pequot Publishing. If you know Square One Books, that has done a lot of books about the arts and entertainment and movie stars and cinema. Square One, where he was swallowed up by this larger concern, which is now called Globe Pequot Publishing. So congratulations, he is new Senior Marketing and Publicity Manager to Anthony Pomes. Congratulations to Ben Sidran, the musician. He's got a new album out. It's called Are We There Yet? Live at the Sunside. Get your copies and learn more about it at bensidran.com. S-I-D-R-A-N. bensidran.com. Congratulations, so many mazel tovs. Congratulations to choreographer Daniel Gwertzman, who has been promoted to associate professor at Ithaca College. So mazel on that. He's also a choreographer with Daniel Gwertzman Dance. So look for what they're doing around New York. Congratulations to Joel Sandberg. He just won. These are the kind of things I get when I write for Long Island Woman. He just won first place award from the Society of Professional Journalists Connecticut chapter for humorous column commentary for his article, It's Tick Season in Connecticut. Not kidding, he writes these humorous, I wish I were doing this, these local columns. So he won first place for Humorous One. Yay. And also, mazel tov to our actor friend J.O. Sanders, because the Broadway show, like I saw it twice, my wife is busy stretching a pig there. J.O. Sanders, he was in, a couple of years ago, like just post-pandemic, Girl from the North Country. It was one of the first musicals to open after the pandemic on Broadway, and it was running during, and then they closed it and they brought it back. And it was all Bob Dylan songs. It was quite good. Well, PBS has taped it for great performances, and you can watch it like this weekend. So you can see J.O. Sanders on your TV screens in this musical. Robert Cuccioli is playing Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof at the Cleveland Playhouse. I'm so sorry. That has ended. I should have taken a couple of these away because these were for last week. Oops. Whoopsies. But today, May 24th, Brett Singer is on the bill at St. Mark's Comedy Club at St. Mark's Place. Robert Cuccioli is a Zoom guest on Theater Resources Unlimited. He's going to be interviewed there. So check that out. TRU is the place. Theater Resources Unlimited. On Friday, that's on Friday the 30th. Oh, it's so cute. On Friday also, May 30th, Richard Skipper is going to be in, look, oh! Well, from the front, not so thin, but from the back, side, he's cute. Richard Skipper, on Friday. Everything you always wanted to know about Richard Skipper, but were afraid to ask. That is at the Laurie Beachman Theater. Get your tickets at richardskipper.com. Richard, he used to do all those Carol Channing impersonations for years. Stopped doing that about a decade ago, but he's still a singer. He's still a performer. Go see him at the Laurie Beachman Theater next Friday. Right. And I'm going to do a couple of these because we won't be on probably next Saturday. So next Saturday in Pennsylvania, Carter Calvert is doing a tribute to Patsy Cline at the Milford Theater. And then the Bongos with Richard Barone. We'll be at Wonder Bar in
So front.
Asbury Park, New Jersey. That is happening next Saturday, May 31st. On Broadway, Jessica Molaski is in Floyd Collins. That's over at Lincoln Center. David Yazbek, you can hear his songs, his music and lyrics in Dead Outlaw at the Longacre Theater. That may be one of the favorites to win Best Musical, by the way. Danny Burston is on Broadway in Gypsy, playing Herbie. Aladdin, and I think he might be Tony nominated. Don't have that in front of me. Aladdin features music by Alan Menken. His music is also off-Broadway in Little Shop of Horrors. Michael Guerin plays piano on Tuesdays through Saturday nights at the Roxy Hotel in Tribeca. At Birdland, you can see Vince Giordano and the Nighthawks Monday and Tuesday evenings doing 2 shows per night at Birdland. And speaking of Birdland, Jim Caruso's Cast Party every Monday night at Birdland. Get your tickets for all these events at birdland.com. birdlandjazz.com, excuse me. And then let's see. I mentioned David Sheward. Read his reviews at totaltheater.com, culturaldaily.com, and theaterlife.com. Want to give a shout out to Leslie Hovan Blake and Charlie Gross, whom I'm both hoping to get on our Tony show in 2 weeks to talk about theater. Leslie and Charlie co-host Two on the Aisle on YouTube, which is theater reviews of Broadway and off-Broadway done in the Siskel and Ebert style. You can watch that on YouTube, Two on the Aisle. Vicky Quaddy out there in Chicago doing Are You Smarter Than Your 8th Grade Nun? And, of course, Late Night Catechism. And those, my friends, are the friends of the Daverhood. Five more minutes. We need to do our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, and then we'll go, because by the time we come out here and pick it up, it'll be ready. So, we have one more thing to do on this episode of the Dave's Gone By Show, our 985th, which is a horrible, disgusting, evil poem. All about a place in Colorado, because we did live in Colorado for a few years. This is Buchanan, Colorado. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, and then read the limerick of it.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme, and likewise verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick.
Rocky Mountain,
Colorado indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Colorado is where we go, because every week I bring you another poem about a different place in the beautiful state of Colorado, where I leave it in a terrible state after reading an evil limerick about said place. Well, today's place is Buchanan, Colorado, which is a region in Jefferson County. Is it named after James Buchanan, the president who made Colorado into an official territory before it became a state? Maybe. Or it's more likely named after the ranching Buchanan family who developed the Evergreen area part of Jeffco. And there is a Buchanan Park in Evergreen. So there's there's scant information about Buchanan, but it is listed as a populated place on Wikipedia. So we can trust Wikipedia with everything. I will count it as a place in Colorado that I can do a limerick of the damned about. Are you ready, dear? A bloodthirsty bride in Buchanan just ruined her mom's wedding planning. That barbarous bitch dug a 7-foot ditch and threw both the groom and best man in. Kindly send your complaints, your everythings, send cookies, send whatever you want to send to me. Well, you can't really send by email, but send them to davesgoneby@aol.com. davesgoneby@aol.com. I try and read every piece that comes in. You can also post messages to me on the Facebook page, Dave's Gone By. Love to hear from you. Love to know what you think of the show and get your kudos and your suggestions and your complaints. It's all good as long as people are watching and paying attention. Tell folks about the show. Tell them we also have a Twitter feed, Radio Dave 2. We also have an Instagram page, which I should have here, David.Lefkowitz. And then our Blue Sky account, just for all the liberals who done Facebook, it's Dave's Gone By at Blue Sky also. So that's the way to stay in touch. Don't forget to check davesgoneby.com for all the archives and everything else about the program. And be here, not next weekend, but the weekend after, Saturday, June 7th, big special annual program. It will be not just, oh my God, I have the wrong number up there. No wonder this fell over. This is 985. Good for the 6 for falling over.
It's okay, I lost the order anyway. Oh no, I have back, okay.
Yeah, you can place the order now. Be here on June 7th for not just the 986th episode of the Dave's Gone By show, but the 20th annual Total Theater Tony show. We've been doing this, our show's been on for 22, 23 years, so there were 1 or 2 years for various reasons we had to skip the Tony program, but we've got a Tony show. And we're going to have critics weighing in on the different categories of the Tonys, like Best Featured Actor in a Musical, Best Revival of a Play. We'll ask them to go through the different nominees and say what they think deserves it, what was overlooked. We've been doing this for a long, long time. It's a great deal of fun. I'll tell you a bit about the season. We'll also have a great trivia game, which will feature our great friends David Sheward, Eva Heineman, probably Eva's sister Lynn, who apparently is a real ringer, and Robert Piagas playing the trivia game, and lots more fun to do. We won't be able to play music because, again, we're on all this copyright stuff, but everything else to do with theater and with Broadway and the Tony Awards, yes. And that is going to be not this coming Saturday, but next Saturday, our usual time, 9 until noon Eastern Time, right here on Dave's Gone By, the Facebook page, and then, of course, all the archives at davesgoneby.com. So don't miss it. It'll be curtain going up. Until then, again, have a good, safe Memorial Day. Be well. Thank you one more time to Bernie Furshpan for being our guest in the Daverhood. Thank you to Rabbi Sol Solomon, and blessings to him and to his website, shalomdammit.com. Thank you to my darling and amazing wife, yay! Who's going to get her bagels shortly. She's doing the piggy thing. Oh, it's so cute. And thank you, of course, to all of you for watching, for enjoying, for posting, for sharing. Have a very, very fine weekend. We'll see you all ready for the Tonys in 2 weeks. And gone by.
Days gone by. Days gone by. Days gone by.
How are the sloths? Oh, there's one sloth. Wait, how do I end? Here we go.